I have been waiting on this show, man. Happy Wednesday, brother. How you doing?
I'm
Getting your water
hydrated now.
in?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm hydrated.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
hydrate too, man. We're gonna welcome everybody into the room. And while we're doing that, while we're getting people into the room, I want to shout out to our podcast audience that listens to us on, Spotify, or listens to us on Apple Music, or even Facebook now. Facebook has a podcast apparatus as well. So I was
Oh,
checking
what?
out the numbers on that earlier, and I want to give a shout out to that audience as well. But man, we got a lot to talk about, man. We got a lot to cover. Um, First things first, man. That Super Bowl halftime performance is going to be at the top of our topics. But I do want to wish a happy birthday to Lupe Fiasco, celebrating his 40th, and Conway the Machine is also celebrating his 40th. Ice
Huh?
T is celebrating his 64th. So we got like a really good group of birthdays today, man. Ice T, Conway, and Lupe.
I mean, this is it's a good MC astrological month from that perspective. If you look at from going from January 28th just to February 28th, some of the best to ever have been born in this 30-day span. You just named, Cole, Ross, Rakim, Conway, Lupe. That's
Yeah.
five. That's five hitters right there. Ice T makes an innovator and a pioneer. So heavy.
Nas the Goat says the halftime show was terrible. Yo, I want to get into all of the
Terrible.
intricacies of that, but we want people to continue to come in the room. Shout out to everybody that's coming in the room. Everybody saying what's up. Y'all can hit our Cash App or whatever. Hit the mini chat. Y'all know how that goes. What's your favorite Conway song? Do you have a favorite Conway song, or is it more of a Conway verse? I know you're probably gonna say Jesus Crisis, right?
Jesus Christ, this is
Yeah,
just
I'm with that.
it's
I'm with that.
absurd, Mike. It's absurd. It's like lyrically, it's like Quiet Storm, like made you look type of level bar performance. That's why I was like, no, that's not no like normal Mike performance. That's like a kick in the door Mike performance. But he's got stuff everywhere. Jesus Christ, this is probably the solo mission song. Like that solo song, like like
Mhm.
the MCs. What I like to have like MC moments where they just kind of go off on the mic, and you like, yeah, that's their moment. Jesus Christ is his moment by himself to me. Kind of very similar to how we look at Lyrics of Fury for Rakim,
Mhm.
where it's like, no, he has better songs, but the MC moment.
I
You know
mean,
what
I
I'm saying?
think that Conway is your kind of MC, right? And he's my kind of MC too. I like guys like him, Pusha T, and on other spectrums, I like, the Method Mans, the Red Mans of the world. I mean, and I think we covered this last episode where I was saying that I like the Kendrick Lamar that's a spitter. So I
Right.
mean, it's like that's my kind of MC, and I think that in the vein of a Prodigy or whatnot, Conway fits that lane of your kind of MC.
He does. He reminds me the the intention, Mike, the intentionality with which he writes, the perspective, the intention of the perspective reminds me of Prodigy more than anybody else.
Yeah.
And Prodigy I love as much like and feel as much as I probably felt any MCs. There are some MCs you just got to feel.
Yeah,
You
no,
know?
you're right. And it's like he's a spitter, but he makes you feel.
Right.
And I think there's only a few guys who've done that. We covered this on the show too. Beanie Siegel's one of those. You know what?
Scarface.
Scarface definitely one of those, but I don't think Scarface is a spitter like Siegel and Conway and those guys are. He makes you feel on a different level. I think that Ghostface is a spitter that makes you feel.
I mean, how about this? Face doesn't have Mike, go listen to the last song on the diary.
Yeah,
He's not what you would call a spitter, but it's only because he kind of chose not to have those
exactly.
moments.
Like
When
Ice
he,
Cube, like
when he
like Tupac. Yeah,
right, but he had no. See, Tupac doesn't have those moments. Like Cube might have. Cube really doesn't have those moments either. Face got a couple moments where it's like, ugh, I don't know, like Mac and Brad, where he's going back and forth with Siegel.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, these guys are top notch. And Conway, I know people think we overrate Conway when we say he belongs in those conversations, but on a skill set level, and I think that if he were in a different era, this would be no question. If Conway was in the '90s, he blends right in with
Right,
everything that's going on.
right.
I think Benny does to a certain extent too, but Conway a little bit more because he makes you feel things on a different level. Now Lupe is a straight up spitter, and happy birthday to him as well. And I think when we talk about bar for bar, and guys that have had mainstream success and notoriety or whatnot, it's a lot
Yeah,
of. I mean, it's not a lot of people that you can sit here and say word for word can fuck with Lupe like that. And we saw that with the Royce and Lupe thing that happened last year. And Royce is top notch, nearly as top notch as it gets. But it
hmm
was clearly different, man. You know, Lupe and Mickey Fax, man, they do something different, man. They consistently write. And I don't know if you follow Mickey Fax on Instagram, but he's doing like his Black History Month bars like every other day or something. He's picking a person in Black history
and
and
he's blacking
doing
out
like
on
a
the mic.
minute verse about them, and it's like, who does this? Like these guys do this shit for fun. And the fact that Lupe was like, look, I can make an album, even though he didn't put it out, I can make an album in 24, 48 hours or something. You know what I mean? And it's like, I believe it.
I mean, it can be done.
I mean, high level done. He went out there, and what Lupe did with the Royce thing, he went out there and memorized Royce's verse about him, and then went and did a whole nother diss record. And it was like, dude, brain power moving at a whole different rate. And I get everybody when they talk about the Kendrick stuff, and we're gonna say that in a minute, but it's like there's no excuse for that. At least not on the writing end. If you want to do that on the composition end, yes. There's no excuse for that. These guys are putting together high level bars very swiftly. Their brain is moving differently.
I mean, what's your favorite Lupe song?
Man, I think that again, his most impressive moment for me was Mural. But see, again, that's the kind of stuff I like. So when I heard Mural for the first time, I was like, whoa. It made me immediately think, like, how many people in my top whatever can do this?
So here's my thing with Mural. I look at Mural very much in the same vein that I look at Nature of the Threat by Razzcats.
Of course.
Okay? So, lyrically speaking, and in terms of framework and how you're contextualizing, it's operating at the highest level ever. But what I would also submit to you is that I find Dumb It Down to be just as impressive and better put together as a song. And so I'm going to lean on Dumb It Down instead of Mural.
Okay. I figured you were going to go Dumb It Down. Let me go ahead and, man, so I don't get any disturbances. Let me go ahead and put my phone on Do Not Disturb. But go ahead. What were you saying?
And Go Go Gadget Flow and the Coolest shortly thereafter.
So you like the cool more than you like Food and Liquor?
I do.
I do too.
I think it's a better album.
Straight up.
Not by a lot, but better, yes. He's better. It's just it.
He is better.
Yeah, like Go Go Gadget Flow lyrically is better than everything like on Food and Liquor, like with the exception of like 2 records. Like, Mike, that's the first song on the Cool.
I'm just gonna go in airplane mode, man.
Sometimes you gotta take flight, Mike.
Shit is crazy, man. My phone just boom, boom, boom. But yeah, welcoming everybody into the room, man. And like I said, happy birthday to Lupe Fiasco, Conway the Machine, and Ice-T as well. What's your favorite Ice-T record?
It's not even because of the record. It's because of the video. It's one of the first videos I remember. The Dope Dealer video where he's in the mansion.
Colors?
Like
No,
no,
it's not Colors. I know what you're talking about. I'm Your Pusher? Is that
yeah,
what
I'm
it is?
the pusher. Yeah, because that's one of the first rap videos I remember. I'm like, who is this guy and how is he living and what is he doing? Whatever he's doing is wrong. Like, even you're a kid, you know, like, it's like, oh no, something about this guy, like, it's wrong, but you like that it's wrong. You didn't even know.
That's it. But you know what? I think that's going to take us into the Super Bowl conversation, though. Yes. That's hip hop. That's what hip hop is about. Hip hop is anti-establishment.
Yeah.
And
It's anti-establishment. There you go, Mike. the video felt anti-establishment even the
I
music.
mean, honestly, man, and I don't know if I can contest with everybody in this room because everybody kind of comes from different generations of hip hop, but I think that was the big draw for me, where it was like, yo, man, this is our music, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Our parents had theirs, and I remember that the old school stations used to say that. You know what I'm saying? The R&B stations that our parents listened to, they would say the kids have their station and you have yours. And yes, Ice-T was the epitome of that anti-establishment type of energy. NWA was as well. Public Enemy was on their level, but they were actually educating you. You know, KRS, when Wu-Tang came through, the shit is dirty, grimy, rhyming crazy. And those are the things that, if you ask me, especially as a kid and even now, I don't want to see shadowboxing on the Grammy stage. Do you? I don't want to see Jizza's shadowboxing featuring Method Man on the Grammy stage. I don't. I'd rather see it on Teen Summit. I'd rather see it on Rap City. It's different, man.
I get what
I don't want to see it.
No, I get what you're saying. I could argue with you about it, but I do understand.
No, but how would you like to see it, and why?
Okay, so why can't we just see it everywhere? Hold on, Mike. Is it not one of the more? I always look at it like, when we're gone and we're not here, what could we showcase? Now, Mike, as far as beat making and lyrical capability of emceeing, shadowboxing is a great reference point for any point in hip hop, and so it belongs everywhere in my estimation. But I understand what you're trying to say about the frame of it. Like, but for me, I'm just saying, if it's hip hop and it's our culture, it's like, what is this about? This is about beats, rhymes, and life. Well, it's like, how many beats are better than that? And how many mic performances are better than that? Not a lot. So it belongs everywhere where hip hop belongs.
I think the thing is, though, you know, when we want to go back to the origins of this thing, you know, and not to get too nerdy before we get into the Super Bowl discussion. Hip hop was created out of a need of being able to be yourself and not conforming. You know, the disco clubs wouldn't allow you in if you weren't dressed a certain way or looked a certain way. And that is what those park jams were built on, the fact that, yo, we can do our own thing our way, however we want to do it. Mm-hmm. And so with that being said, conformity, to me, is the last thing that is real hip hop. You know, I know people use that term too much and overused a lot, but when we talk about real hip hop, it could be anything as long as you're not conforming your art to certain specifications just to fit in.
So hold on. So Mike, I have a question.
Hip hop leads the trends. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just have a question for you. So let's go back to this Wu-Tang and the whole shadowboxing thing. So Mike, isn't playing Triumph instead of shadowboxing on a big stage like that kind of conforming?
It is.
Okay.
And, you know, and I remember Russell Simmons saying that, you know, they did it. They put all that money, and this was his opinion. They put all that money behind Triumph, and it was a beautiful video. But he was like, in his opinion, the Cream video was much better. And it didn't take all of that, you know? And it's like, it's a different feeling. And I love Triumph. Triumph is a perfect example of you polishing up what you're doing. They were clearly better MCs at that point, right? You know, things were clearly more polished. The video had a bigger budget, but it was not better than that stuff that they made just on some raw shit. And that's just the truth. It doesn't give you that feeling. Somebody could say on a technical level, it is better, whatever. Because bar for bar, yes, they were killing it. But you can't sit here and tell me Triumph makes you feel the way that shadowboxing makes you feel, or that Cream makes you feel, or Incarcerated Scarfaces make you feel, or that Bring the Pain makes you feel, or Brooklyn Zoo makes you feel. It just doesn't.
I mean, Mike, as a song, I find Triumph to be possibly their most overrated song because, just truthfully speaking, after Debt and Meth's verses, there's just a drop off. I don't care what anybody says. And so that's my quibble with the song, is that the beginning is so epic, and the way Meth keeps it up is so epic, and then everybody else is just, I mean, they're dope, but it's not the same. I actually look at
You can't
Triumph.
keep up that momentum like that though. Like the way that Meth was able to keep up what Deck
What Deck
just
did,
did
yeah. Oh, that was special.
is
That was
crazy.
special. No, that was
You know,
special.
and we're gonna talk about Meth and Snoop too, man, because I think those two are the only guys, and I've always said this too, like guys who have big auras and big crews, and there's not anybody like those guys.
Mm-mm.
They're pretty much one of ones, and we sit here and talk about the catalog of Meth, and I know I've been very critical of it because he was my favorite rapper growing up. But when you look at what he's been able to do collaborative wise in the Wu Tang and standing out in a group like that, it's special. But with that being said, because we're going to talk about Snoop, we got like over 100 people in the room right now. I think this is the perfect time to segue into the Super Bowl halftime performance. All right. Super Bowl Sunday, hip hop took center stage, and it was billed as Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar taking the halftime show, and 50 Cent came as a special guest.
Cool.
What were your first of all, let me ask you this, and I guess we could start here. On a scale from 1 to 10, what would you rate the halftime show and why?
Well, it deserves at least a 5 because they didn't blow it. Like, they didn't mess it up. Okay. So it's like, how you play dominoes, it's like 10 to get in. Well, the buy-in on this is like a 5 piece. So they got at least a 5 for that. It had some moments. It had some low moments. It had some high moments. It had some mid moments. I'm going to give it about a 7. Like, thinking that's a kind 7.
Yeah.
That's a kind 7. And that's just about a couple of moments. Like, I was, I'm into the nuances of things. And so you and I were having a conversation earlier today. I think we both were in our cars driving while we were having this conversation. At least you sounded like you was in the car, Mike.
Yeah, I was in the car.
Right.
I'll be on the move, man.
Right. But I was talking about how I thought it was special that Dre actually hopped up on the piano and played. And you were like, well, was he really playing? And I was like, well, yeah, I hope so, because he's considered to be our greatest hip hop producer ever. And it's a dope moment to see the greatest producer in hip hop history show some musicianship.
Can I interject real quick?
No. Have it. Please.
I went and listened to this performance again in my headphones, in my Dre Beats headphones, by the way. A little plug there, right? For the third time before, we would do the show. And as a person who, I play instrument, I play saxophone or whatever, and I noticed that there were some piano rolls before Dre's fingers hit the keys and after his fingers came off the keys and went back and did still DRE. I'm not totally convinced he was playing the piano. And I'm just being honest, you know what I mean? I ain't trying to shit on Dre. Not saying that he can't play the piano. And sometimes people who can play instruments, at a beginner's level might not feel totally comfortable, especially after a set like that, to go out there on a Super Bowl stage and play a few chords here and there. Because it wasn't like he was out there playing anything intricate. It's not like he went out there on some, let's just keep it real. We've seen Scott Storch go out there and play those same riffs. And it's different. It looks different. The feel of it looks different. And I'm not even talking about him bobbing his head and all that. Just the finger placement. Yes.
Yeah, the handwork.
You know what I'm saying? The handwork is different. And I'm sitting there looking at it and I'm listening. There obviously was either a track somewhere or another piano somewhere that was playing those rolls before and after he finished. So I'm like, okay, I don't know. You know what I mean? So, but go ahead.
No, I'm glad that you did that. You're on a nice little investigative report run. I think this documentary that you're doing has got you in like an investigative reporter mode, but it's dope though. I like to see it. But what I was saying is just that's one of those things where it's like a subtle showcase moment. I like the fact that they tried to do it. If he didn't play the keys, I would have liked it more if he played the keys, because you and I had this conversation behind the scenes. I mean, Mike, you play. I mean, Mike, I haven't told too many people this. I actually took piano and keyboard lessons very, very early on in my life, and I remember how all that stuff works. And we've been in studios, been around people. I told you, Mike, every producer I've ever been in the studio with has been able to play keys or chords on some sort of level, at least get through a little, you know what I'm saying, enough to get started and cook it up. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So
right.
for him being 40 years into the music business, and Mike, we know the keys to I Ain't Mad at You on the piano. Like, that's not like you. It's not Beethoven. Like, he's not. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I mean, I can play some of that stuff, and
Right.
I don't even consider
Like I
myself
told you.
a
So
keys player.
right. Can I say what I said behind the scenes? It's like, I'm pretty certain if you gave me and Mike those keys for an hour or two, we could walk
Yeah.
out the room playing those keys. It
But do
ain't
you
like
feel comfortable doing that on a Super Bowl stage? You know, when you're not a
after,
player like that. Yeah.
after 40 years of being in the music business and being behind the boards the way that he has, yeah, you should feel comfortable doing that live, Mike. Because I just said, you give us a couple hours, we probably gonna come out like knowing how to play that little riff. It ain't like it's a long riff, Mike. You just sitting up here hitting about 3 or 4 chords and you flipping them over.
Let me get to the super chat real quick. I'll let you finish. DeCarlo, shout out to you for the super chat. He says Eminem had the best performance. Don't at me in the chat. LOL. We'll get to that in a second because I do think he had one of the better performances. Yes, I said that. Yes. What I didn't like about Dr. Dre playing that I Ain't Mad at You is it gives the illusion that he produced that song.
No, I don't like that at all. It's
You
very
know what I'm
powerful.
saying? And because everything that was on the stage for the most part was a Dr. Dre production. Because can we just say this Super Bowl halftime was about Dr. Dre and him as a producer and arranger and all the artists that he's cultivated over the years. Even Mary J. Blige's contribution, we knew that it was going to be family affair. I think we called damn near all the songs that were on this. With the exception of In the Club, that hit me by surprise. They didn't do What's My Name from Snoop. I'm going to get into that in a minute. And No More Drama from Mary. I think those are the ones, at least, that I had off.
I should have never done
You were finishing a thought. I'm sorry, because I'm going to go in when I go in.
I already know. Like, this is definitely your day, Mike. I've been seeing you on social media all weekend, too. It's like, okay. It's like, get to the show on Wednesday, for God's sake.
Man, I couldn't wait for this show.
I see, Mike. You've been dropping, like, blurbs all weekend long. Okay.
I got notes. You can't see this, but yeah, the light's in the way. I got notes.
So let's start with, yes, Dre's the centerpiece and the focal point. We can just go ahead and wash my thoughts. You know what I'm saying? That's that. Let's move to the next part of it. Let's start with DeCarlo's point, and you're kind of piggyback off of it. Mm-hmm. What made Eminem's performance so great? Let's start right there.
Okay, we'll start with
Maybe I'm on the other side of it. Maybe I'm on the other side of it. First of all, no, Mike, I do want to finish my point. Who produced I Ain't Mad at You? Johnny J, right?
I believe so. Let me look that up. And that's one piece of research I didn't do.
Right. It's either Johnny J or Daz. Because it's not Dre.
Give me a second, because I just put this thing on airplane mode.
No, you stay in airplane mode, and I'll look it up.
Yeah, look it up real quick. But yeah, as far as the Eminem performance, do you want me to go there, or have you looked
at it? Go there while I'm looking up the credits.
Okay. Let me get back in airplane mode. All right, this is what I will say about Eminem's performance. I think that he was the performer that first of all, he was able to perform his best song. That's first off. And I think that of all the performers, only Dre and Eminem were allotted to be able to perform their best song. Daz produced it? Okay. Well, finish your thought, because I don't want to skip around too much, and then we'll get on this Eminem thing. Finish your thought about Daz producing I Ain't Mad at You.
No. It's just the fact that it's like, they just threw Tupac like up in the mix, and I told you I wasn't a fan of it. And it's like, okay, if we throwing Pac up in the mix, like, why are you doing I Ain't Mad at You? It's like Daz did the beat. I thought it was Johnny J, but either way you want to play it, I don't like it. We can get back to the Eminem thing.
Okay. All right. As far as Eminem's performance, again, he was able to perform one of his stronger songs, and I think that I want to start from the beginning. And kind of build up, right? I think that this whole image that Dr. Dre has cultivated for Eminem from the jump has been brilliant. They started off as like, this quirky rapper who was non-threatening, but we knew he had abilities, right? goofy stuff. You know what I'm saying? Got in the game on some goofy stuff, right? Are you okay?
I'm fine. Keep going, Mike.
Got in the game on some goofy stuff, and I think that when they did the back and forth song, what am I? Not bad intentions. You know what I'm talking about.
Bad Meets Evil with Royce.
No, with Dr. Dre and Eminem.
Oh, Guilty
Guilty
Conscience.
Conscience. So like that's been Dr. Dre and Eminem's relationship this whole time, right? Like Dr. Dre is the voice of reason to Slim Shady's craziness, right? You know,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
on what's the difference or whatever, or even like when
Not
you
about Dre.
yeah, or even it's like Dr. Dre said, nothing, you idiots, Dr. Dre's dead, all that stuff. It's like Dr. Dre is keeping him in line, right? And then they went from that to 8 Mile. Now we're taking Eminem serious. Now we're actually looking at him as an MC because this is a battle rap situation, right? This is him trying to come up as an MC. None of the goofy stuff. The goofy stuff goes out the window with 8 Mile, which I think was brilliant. And what they've been able to do ever since 8 Mile, they've been able to make that Eminem's image. And so fast forward to this show, he had the only real hip hop moment on the show. It
I
wasn't
think
no
that's a little bit.
it wasn't no dancing. It was him MCing. Crowd comes up there and hands up like they're at a show.
So you did like that or didn't like that?
I did like it. I think that again, it went off really well, like I said. In this very watered down performance of a lot of these records where you got choreographed sea walking and stuff, this was actually the only moment where it wasn't all of this corny dancing. It was actually the only moment where you actually had real, like a fake hip hop audience, but it looked like a real hip hop show. It was a reenactment of the 8 Mile movie, which is a reenactment of hip hop or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I think that Eminem was given the opportunity to give the most hip hop performance on this stage, which is wild. Oh, I see people in the chat saying Eminem's performance was mid, Mike. I get you. I think the whole shit was mid. But if we talk about like as far as, and I'm not giving Eminem super props, but I don't think he did what he came there for. You know what I'm saying? He came out there, and I mean, of course, you got Anderson .Paak on the drums, cheesing and stuff or whatever, and you had the guitar solos and all that. You know, it was a little theatrics there, but it was to me, it was better than the other performers outside of Snoop. Outside of Snoop, I think, to rewind, I think as far as performing, you could tell that Snoop is the guy who's active and constantly outperforming at concerts. Snoop killed his part on next episode. Unfortunately, they didn't give Snoop an opportunity to do anything. Snoop went out there and did his verse on next episode, and after that, he was a hype man. I think it's unfortunate, man. I think that was my first critique, and I'm gonna go to my notes. Are you cool with me going to my notes, or did you have any other,
No. I have plenty to say, Mike, but I know, Mike, go ahead.
I want to start with the sound. I want to start with the sound because this is a Dr. Dre concert, right? This is a Dr. Dre performance. I think the sound was suspect. And, that was one of the things I was really expecting to be great because I know what Dr. Dre's performances are like. I had the Up in Smoke DVDs, right? And we could talk about these performers being in their 50s and all that stuff, but the sound, that has nothing to do with your age, right? And so I'm turning the volume up on my TV and I'm thinking that maybe I'm just too gassed about the performance and I put the TV in a setting where I done messed up the sound or whatever. And I talked to my mom, you know what I mean? My mom's a musician too. And she was like, the sound was bad. And I was like, word. And then I heard that from some other people. And I'm like, for this to be Dr. Dre and a Dr. Dre production, and this is supposed to be billed as a Dr. Dre, him being a producer and all of these artists that he's able to galvanize on this big stage, the sound was something that I expected to be dope. I thought that the sound was going to be better than any sound that we had ever heard on that stage.
So, can we pause right there for
Go
a
ahead.
second?
It's a lot to dissect, and we got a couple super chats I want to get to too. We ain't forgot you, but we'll get to you.
So, Mike, you're saying the sound sucked. Now, Mike, you know how this works. Dr. Dre is a producer. He's an engineer. He's not the soundstage and lighting manager for the Super Bowl, Mike. We can't hold Dr. Dre hostage about the sound.
I hear you, but have you heard the Coachella set? Have you heard? I know you went to the Up in Smoke. I did too. The DVDs of that, it's phenomenal how their music comes through. Even when Snoop does concerts on his own, the sound is on point.
Those are things that he has more control over than this spectrum. Correct. Now,
so you don't think that
no. Let's address no. Mike, who threw this event?
The Super Bowl, but at the end of the day,
no. Who's responsible for the entertainment portion?
Are you talking about Rock Nation?
There we go, Mike. That's who we need to be talking to about that right there.
Not hold on. You don't think?
No. It's called sound, stage, and lighting. How does it start? Sound. Who's responsible? Rock Nation. Who's the performer? Because Dr. Dre is not in production, executive producer, engineer mode in this format. He is in centerpiece star format, performer.
But he always is. You don't think that the people that he normally has to do the production, sound, stage production, you don't think that they weren't involved in this? Well, again, I'm not holding this against Dr. Dre, right? I'm not holding this against Dr. Dre as an individual. It's an indictment on the show in general. So we're judging the show, right?
Right. So when we're handing out indictments, Mike, we need to make sure we're pulling up to the right houses. You know what I'm saying? Those are indictments. We can't be pulling up to the wrong house. The indictment about the sound belongs in Rock Nation's house. And I'm going to kind of just piggyback right quick and let you get back to it, Mike, because that's part of the reason why I had a problem with it. It's like, okay, it's getting ran by Rock Nation. Is that why y'all played Still DRE?
Of course it is. That's why it was on all the commercials and everything, yes.
And we're going to get to all of that in a second, Mike, because a lot of your complaints, Mike, is why I just wanted to hear Deep Cover and Murder Was the Case, because I know it was about to be saccharine up in here. So at least some part of it could have been gangster, which was the music.
Let me get to the super chat, and I'm going to get to some of my other points in the notes. DeCarlo says something that I'm about to bring up in my notes. He says Snoop didn't get the shine like they let Eminem and 50 Cent. He should have been the MVP.
Mike's been saying it all weekend. Mike's been saying it.
The problem with that, and let me get to the other super chat, and I'm gonna finish that thought. Shout out to the Combs 444. Yeah, we love that album.
No,
he says, glad y'all mentioned that the halftime show was not good. Snoop was the best presentation and performance. Dre, Mary, 50 were all right. Eminem and Kendrick, not good. Okay. All right. Well, let me get to that Snoop Dogg point, because they built this, and they might not have said it in this way, but when they were doing media, this was billed as a Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre thing. You know what I'm saying? And I think we were talking about this offline. Whenever Dr. Dre's doing anything, ever since he left NWA, he needs Snoop by his side. He wouldn't have been able to pull off Deep Cover without Snoop Dogg on there. When he jumped away from Death Row and did Aftermath initially, Snoop wasn't involved. We didn't want to hear it like that. Been There, Done That. It's not a terrible song, but that album, without Snoop involved, we haven't really been checking for Dre. And when Snoop got back in the fold, 2001. Still DRE, as incredible of a record it is, without Snoop's involvement, it's not the same record. They used Snoop's name and likeness, and when it came down to the actual show, they used him as a prop. He does one verse on next episode. That's not even his song. You got Snoop Dogg on the stage. Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre on stage. And y'all not doing What's My Name? Y'all not doing Gin and Juice? Come on, man. But they was playing it in all the promos.
Try to tell you.
That disappointed me. Now that disappointed me, because I think What's My Name is probably one of the strongest songs, Period. We talked about that song on this show. We talk about Doggy Style. Was anything from Doggy Style on that set?
So there we go. That's the biggest tragedy, Mike.
Anything from Doggy Style on the set. And you think that any of these people should have been put on that show, on Dr. Dre's show, and
So,
given
like,
placement over Snoop?
Here was where I
Nobody.
was surprised. This is what I'm saying about that saccharine, Mike. Because, well, if you really notice, Mike, did they play anything from the Chronic?
Well, I mean, they did in transition. They did like G thing real quick.
Right. So we got the G thing loop from the Chronic. We got
Yeah.
no Doggy Style.
We got no Doggy Style.
So let's stop for a second. Y'all made Dre and Snoop the headliners, and all we got between the Chronic and a Doggy Style was a G thing loop.
And we're in LA, by the way. Let's
in
let's
LA.
take that back.
So-
We're in LA.
So now, Mike, I'm gonna go back to when you was like laughing, like, no, they're not gonna do that. When I was like, no, they need to do deep cover, and murder was the case. You see what I'm saying now? Because it was already about to be watered down. The one thing that they could have fought about was the music, and they even conformed to that completely. That's what I'm saying. It's like, for real, like real talk. I love Still Dre. It's a great record, but when you're playing that and you're not playing anything from the Chronic and Doggy Style, flag on the play.
DFW Herbie says they didn't play anything before 2000, according to Hip Hop. And DeCarlo said they only played 2000s music. But why? Was that? Do y'all think that was intentional or something? Because I mean, y'all are saying that like that was announced or something. Because when we think about Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre as they promoted it in that way, we don't think about the 2000s. Let's just be real. They did California Love. Yes, that was early, right? All right, I want to get to California Love too, since y'all mentioned it. Dre sounded like he was struggling on there, breath-wise. But again, like I said, it's these are older performers. I think California Love should have been the closer. But to allude to what you said earlier, it seemed like Still DRE was the closer because Jay-Z wrote the song.
Handling the show. Correct.
And handling the show. I think that politics and I guess mainstream acceptance definitely affected the flow of the show. Because if you talk about Kendrick Lamar's set, and I know I'm kind of skipping around a little bit, I mean, All Right sonically doesn't even fit in this show. I think when Mary did No More Drama, I think that was to possibly transition into that. But I mean, it just doesn't. Does Lose Yourself Lose Yourself makes sense as an opener, maybe. But when you talk about the catalogs of these individuals, does Lose Yourself even make sense in this show? Does All Right even make sense in this show?
Well, what are we trying to do with the show, Mike? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What were they doing with it? What was
Well,
the show?
all right, this is the thing. This is in LA, right? And I feel like when you're promoting this as a Dr. Dre Snoop thing, this is to celebrate LA. I think California Love should have definitely been the closer. Well, first of all, let me rewind.
Hey, Mike. No. Rewind right quick, Mike. I'll be right back. Give me 10 seconds.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna let you get back because I do want to make this point. I'm gonna go to the chat. Damian Harris says Miles Cali Love has been trash. Royalties they owe. Let's see. Leah Main said Eminem was performing, so if Eminem is there, 50 is going to be there too. Eminem was not going to perform without his partner and brother for life, 50 Cent. Y'all really believe that? I don't know. I think the whole 50 Cent thing was interesting in a sense where it wasn't too much of a quote-unquote surprise, so I don't know why 50 Cent just wasn't on the bill in the first place. This is what, all right.
So no, Mike, that was the curveball of the show that I did like, because it was like he wasn't advertised or market or build up at all, and so the biggest surprise factor was when him hanging from the roof, like a la in the club. No, that was the moment. And just real quick, Mike, to all of y'all clowning, like 50, like In the Club came out in what, Mike, 2003? 3?
Yeah, 2 maybe, but yeah, the video 3, yeah.
It's like 20 years old?
19 years ago, yeah.
Mike, I'm one of the few people I know that's about the same weight that I was 20 years ago. The rest of y'all need to be quiet. Just real talk.
It's very tough.
Y'all been giving 50 a lot of smoke. It's like, no. I'm about the same size I was 20 years ago. Most of y'all look like fifth.
I think the thing is, man, like, you know, you could tell that a lot of the people that were performing just aren't consistently performing now, right? Like, because I went back and I was listening to, I was looking at the Prince halftime. And, you know, we know how Prince gigs as a musician. And he was out there performing as a musician, and you would like to see active performers on a halftime show. And the only person who looked like they were an active performer to me was Snoop. And he got the least amount of time. So, all right, this is what it should have been.
Dre looked old.
He
looked old physically and performance-wise. And then I thought to myself, and I started asking myself this immediately when him and Snoop came out on stage, I was like, when's the last time Dre performed? When's the last time any of these guys other than Snoop performed?
Exactly. Eminem doesn't perform.
I ain't heard about an Eminem show.
You know, Mary might go do a Essence Fest or something now and then, but
Mary performs.
Mary performs on a consistent basis.
She just picked an awful song, Mike.
I mean, she picked the only song she could pick. Oh, you talking about No More Drama?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go to that part real quick. And I know this is a hip hop show, but we talk about transitions. That was a terrible decision to have Mary go. Mary's 50 plus, respectfully. That was a terrible decision to have her go from an upbeat song, dancing, to a ballad where she had to sing. She sounded bad because she was winded. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, I know the whole meme of her falling on the stage and all that stuff. That didn't even have to happen. One thing I will say about Beyonce, they do a very good job of sequencing her shows out. And they make sure she gets breaks. They make sure if it's an upbeat, you know what I'm saying, they'll slow it down in a different way, but they'll make sure there's something in there where she can get her breath. And she's never going to go in a situation where she's out of breath, but she's much younger than Mary is.
Mike, same thing with Janet. Janet's show set up that way too. They let her breathe.
Yeah.
They didn't let Mary breathe. And not only did they not let her breathe, it was a poor song selection. There are so many more this is the Super Bowl. That's Mary. It's like we knew Family Affair was happening, Mike. I thought that's all that was happening with Mary. And it's like, you're going to give her a second song? And it's like, we're not going to get Real Love? Or if you want to go ballad, Mike, like do one of the funky ballads, like Love No Limit. You know what I'm saying? I'm Going Down, the Rolls Royce Me Mary. Or the Mary Jane Girls, or you know what I'm saying?
Well, see that goes.
You want to go deep, Mary? Play Be Happy. Don't play No More Drama. Play Be Happy.
But see,
the Super Bowl,
that goes into them playing to a crossover audience, and see them playing into a crossover audience. I think is overrated because at the end of the day, let's just keep it real. Black music runs that stage, has ran that stage, started that stage, and you're sitting here trying to do your most watered down material, and you're messing up the sequence of these sets.
Right. You should be saying it's 187 on an Undercover Cop.
Well, they're not going to do that. Now, I'm not asking you to go. I ain't asking them to go there.
Just making a point about the music and staying with the core of it, because you're in a format where you're about to be marginalized, conformed, and watered down. You have most authority and control over the music. And Mike, you want to know who exhibited that the best and gave us the best performance at the same time? You already mentioned him. That's what I'm talking about, having control of the music. Who gave us our best Super Bowl performance?
I think it was Prince.
Right.
And I'm a Michael guy. And you know what?
And Mike, he kept it so black. Mike, it rained and this fool put a scarf on. Like, you're not about to mess up my hair. Every black man and woman understood. It's like, this nigga coming out in the scarf. It's like, that's my guy.
I mean, even his song selection when he did Proud Mary, and then when he went out there and did the Foo Fighters cover, like he just did what he wanted to do. It wasn't, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't a conforming thing.
It's like, it's raining. Is it Purple Rain? Hold on one second. Let's go. Yeah.
But see, again, he's a performer, and I think that the performance level, there was a gap between Snoop and everybody else. Do you think that they possibly minimized Snoop's contribution on stage because he was so much better of a performer than others?
I mean, He's still the biggest star on that stage. I don't care what anybody else says.
Period.
Period. Like, because here's the thing about it. You know how there's like the little footage of them showing like Snoop doing what he doing before?
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? That's because everybody's watching Snoop all the time. You didn't watching what them other dudes was doing before because you was waiting for Snoop.
Okay.
Right.
Let me get to my notes, man. I think that, first of all, I think that the show would have been a lot more effective if it was just a Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg show. Now, if y'all wanted to bring out, Eminem to go out there and do Lose Yourself real quick or do Forgot About Dre, I think that would have went off very well. I don't know where Kendrick places here.
It's not even a Dre beat.
I'm just going to be honest, man. I like Kendrick, man. And we both like Kendrick. And I know people who are just now becoming followers and viewers of the show probably think that we don't like Kendrick because of some of the things we say. But what I'm going to say is, man, this whole artsy-fartsy approach to performing every single time, it's starting to get corny. Maybe I'm just dumb. What was the meaning of his performance in that way? I mean, at some point we're gonna have to start explaining what, these actual performances mean. Because the first thing I thought was like, because he wear kufi don't mean that he nice. Did he right?
I'm gonna tell you what. One of my favorite painters, Mike, Salvador Dali. Salvador Dali is one of the worst people ever at explaining the brilliance behind his work. He's like one of the worst at it. But Mike, he at least explained it, even if you didn't like it, even if it wasn't something that was understandable. Like the persistence of memory painting, he said that was about a lucid dream that he had because he ate too much camembert cheese the night before. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
but
right.
He made an explanation for it, though. It's like the explanation sucks, but there's an explanation. He does a lot of things artistically that we gravitate towards, Mike. And this is what I mean is like, no, fam, this is not 2015. Tell me what you're doing and why. Because, like,
what does this mean?
Break it down for me. Like,
what's these blonde hairs? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's this?
No, I understood that transitionally because that let me know that Eminem was about to pop up when I see the blonde. I was like, okay, is
that what you took from that?
That's the only thing that I took from when I saw the blonde hair. I was like, so Kendrick then Eminem. He's setting Eminem up for Eminem to come in. It's a setup.
DeCarlo with another super chat. Shout out to you. He said, Mike, did you see the performers with Kendrick? They had Slim Shady blonde hair. So that's where y'all went from that. Like, but what does that even mean? Like I said, man, this whole left open for interpretation, to me, it's starting to become one of those things where it's like, let me just do some weirdo shit and let people just make up their explanations from it. I don't know, man. I think that Kendrick's nice on the mic. I don't think that he needs the gimmicks, but when it comes to his performances, they're starting to come across very gimmicky. Because, again, there's no context. No one even knows what this means. Like, I know y'all said y'all like the performance. Of course, he executed. He does what he does when it comes to that. But what does this mean?
I mean, I can't disagree with you, Mike. I don't have, like, any real retort for you. That's why I bring up the whole Salvador Dali. And, like, I bring up Salvador Dali because of the order that Kendrick is placed in as an artist in terms of how he pieces things together. And it's like, no. Even guys who speak and deal in the art world abstractly explain. Picasso explains. Salvador Dali explains. And let's also get this clear when I'm saying this. Oh, he's not Salvador Dali or Picasso as far as MCing goes. So, like, he's not above explaining. That's why I'm using Salvador Dali as a reference point. It's like where Salvador Dali is in the canon of painters is not where Kendrick is in the canon of MCs. As in Salvador Dali is somewhere higher in his canon than you are in yours. But he still explains the medium that he operates in. Frida Kahlo, like, we can do this all day, Mike. People explain. Miles Davis, Thelonious Monk, Charlie Parker. Which genre or medium do you want to exist in where genius is explained?
Joe Bro says that we're nitpicking, and I knew that was going to come across as this, especially, when I start taking my notes. All right, look, when I saw the performance live, again, I think I was underwhelmed by the sound and all that, and I was like, it's cool. But
Sounds
see,
like
the reaction of people saying it's the best Super Bowl halftime show ever, we're going to have
disrespect.
to take a real close look at this. So this isn't even the best performance that these guys have put on. Um, and it's far from it. Can
Prince
anybody in
played
the
Let's Go
chat? Can
Crazy in the
anybody in the
summer,
chat?
Mike.
Hold on, real quick, Coop. Can anybody in the chat explain to us what that Kendrick Lamar performance meant? Because
No, they
again, maybe I'm slow.
Prince played Let's Go Crazy in a scarf in the rain. Conversation over.
I mean, we can go beyond Prince, but I just think that overall,
Oh, they're saying it's the greatest show ever, so we're gonna reference the greatest show and like show the separation, and that's what I'm talking about. It's like a dude plays the guitar like in the rain live for you, and you think that like that was like what are we doing? Like I be telling people like, and we do a hip hop podcast, like we got to start placing stuff properly though.
and I know a
Like
lot of people mention Michael's halftime performance, and
there.
I'm a number one Michael guy, and this is what I will say about Michael's performance. I mean, the history of it, and I'm not sure if everyone's aware. I mean, the halftime show was pretty much nothing before Michael went out there and performed. The NFL begged him to do it because in Living Color at the time, I think it was the previous Super Bowl, or it was in '92, they did that halftime special because nobody watched the halftime. And, basically, long story short, In Living Color kicked the NFL's ass in ratings. And so the NFL was like, well, look, we got to have a more entertaining halftime show so this doesn't happen. We don't lose advertisers or whatever. They reached out. They had to get Michael Jackson. It's the biggest fish out there. And they offered Michael Jackson $1 million or whatever. He declined them like 3 different times because he's Michael Jackson. Long story short, he does the Super Bowl halftime. I don't know if they paid him $1 million or not. They say that Frito-Lay paid his foundation, Heal the World, $100,000. And he went out there and did 4 songs, pretty much giving him their ass to kiss because he did Jam, Billie Jean, Black or White, and Heal the World. So you could tell he really didn't want to do it. He went out there and did 4 songs, had the highest rated television event of its time. I don't think it's still been broken. And ever since then, there's like, look, we got to follow this trend of getting big time performers so no one else takes our ratings away during halftime. Saying all that to say, Michael Jackson's performance was more about Michael Jackson just being out there as Michael Jackson, standing still for a minute or 2. He didn't even perform his stronger records. He went out there and did Jam, did like Billie Jean for about a minute, gave you a little moonwalk, did Black or White, and did Heal the World. So, based on that, and I love Michael, his performance is definitely not better than Prince's because Prince actually went out there and gave you a show. Michael was like, look, donate this money, give me my bread, fuck out of here. Y'all using me for ratings anyway. Go for it.
So can we unpack? So you've unpacked the historical side of it. More great investigative reporting, Mike. Great job.
We got to have the facts together because people will go out there and try to change history, man. I remember reading from one of these publications, I don't want to call anybody out, but they were saying hip-hop is on the stage of rock and roll and all that. I'm like, no, Michael Jackson created that stage. Don't get it twisted. Black music created this stage, so don't sit here and act like we have to conform anything. It is our stage, and we're taking our rightful stage. Go ahead. I'm sorry. History is important.
No, so when you talk about how Mike is giving them his ass to kiss, I want people to think about this. He's playing Jam, an NBA song at the Super Bowl. Mike's up there being shady live. He's playing an NBA-based song that the NBA is using for promotion at the Super Bowl. He's being funny, first of all. So you gave some historical background and context and investigative report. I'm going to give you some nuance. Mike's being funny on top of it, Mike. And even furthermore, to that point, and let's understand this. The reason why Mike gave them his ass to kiss is because Mike was kind of forced into that about the allegations and scrutiny he was under at the time. Mm-hmm. That's why Mike didn't like it, because Mike's team is like, no, we need to do this for your image. And that's why Mike gave them his ass to kiss. So if Mike doesn't even have those allegations at the time against him, he doesn't ever show up to perform for them, and this never even becomes a thing. Mike keeps on saying "kiss my ass" if he doesn't have allegations.
He did it for the kids, man. They donated the money to the kids, and
He didn't do that shit for the kids, Mike. He did that shit because the people around him told him. Mike can put up more money than the NFL could at the time for the kids, Mike. He was doing that shit because he was under scrutiny and he was trying to repair his reputation and his image.
And Mike's the greatest, in my opinion. Michael Jackson's the greatest performer of all time. He didn't go out there and try to give his best performance. He dialed that one in.
Yeah, James Brown, Prince, Michael Jackson, and if you don't get something stellar for them, that means that you pissed them off.
Mike is
they won't provide you with anything less than.
We talking about 1993. This man is over a 20-some-odd year vet at that time as a performer. Yeah,
and he's not old physically yet. Like physically still in his prime in terms of performance capability.
He wasn't even 35 at that point, I don't believe.
But I was about to say, Mike, you're not 40 for certain. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, he didn't get 40 until
so he can go gigs still all night. Yep.
Yeah, that was 93. So yeah, he's early 30s.
32, 33.
Yeah.
93. About 33.
And like I said, you could tell by the song selection that he's like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Let me give you a moonwalk real quick and we'll just, keep it going.
Play this NBA song at the Super Bowl, be out.
So with that being said, though, I think that, this whole notion that hip-hop is on let's just keep it real. Black artists are on a white stage. It's not a white stage.
It's our stage.
It is, man. And even if you bring it back to In Living Color being the interruption, it took a black sketch comedy show to make them even step their game up to the point to get a performer like a Michael Jackson to set the stage for what we're seeing now.
We run this town.
I want to get back to this. I don't know, man. I think that... All right, this is what I will say about the houses thing, and I want to say something positive so we're not sounding like we're nitpicking too much. When I saw those individual houses, you know what I thought about? Like those individual sets that they had? Mm-hmm. I thought about that Source, the 95 Source performance, the Death Row performance, where they're all in different jail cells. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, that's dope. That was kind of an ode to that. I thought that was really cool.
You did? I didn't.
You didn't like that?
No.
Okay.
I want to see Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg ride out in a 6'4" and play "Let Me Ride," "What's My Name," in deep cover. What part of this
you
is
in deep cover?
Because that's what it's supposed to be. If we're not doing deep cover, can we do "Murder Was the Case"? Mike, they have performed "Murder Was the Case" at the Billboard Music Awards, American Music Awards. Can we do "Murder Was the Case"? Can we do something on Doggy Style?
All right, let's look at this. Let's look at that, right? You got 15 minutes.
6.
You got 15 minutes, right? Let's just say it was a Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre show. They go out to next episode as the opener. They normally do that. You go from there, and then you go, "What's My Name?" Boom. Right. You go from there, maybe throw in a gin and juice. And you want to give these guys a little bit of a rest or whatever, then you could bring Kendrick out or bring Eminem out to do Forgot About Dre, or him just do Lose Yourself. Come back to like a Let Me Ride and then close out with a Still DRE. Right. I mean, is that too far-fetched?
No, Mike, you're not asking for too much.
Are you
asking if you're asking for too much for them to play the records that made us love them?
Oh, G-Thang too. I'm sorry. G-Thang's in there too. So that's 15 minutes right there. So let's say you start off with next episode. Then you go into, What's My Name? And let's just say you go into Gin and Juice, or you could do a little intermission and get Kendrick or, Eminem involved, whatever. Come back, Let Me Ride with the 6'4" and all that. G-Thang, Still DRE, and you can close out with California Love, because I do think it being in LA, it should close out with California Love. And honestly, with all them songs I named, there really ain't no room for Eminem or Kendrick like that.
So, Mike, now that you've said all that, I'm giving them a 5. Giving them a 5.
You giving them a 5? Why?
Well, for the whole show, because I just realized, like, it was really everything that We said that it was. It's like all we really needed was Dre and Snoop in that 6-4.
It's all we needed. We're talking about a
You
15-minute window.
need anything else? Like the 50 show up was cool. They blew Mary's time with that poor music choice. I could have done without Eminem because he didn't perform. Forgot about Dre. The show was about Dre. Should
Yeah.
definitely perform. Forgot about Dre. I guess Kendrick was there to do all right for our moment of blackness. Could've
Yeah.
kept that.
Let's just keep it real. That's what that was.
Right. You could've
Kendrick
kept
shouldn't have
that.
been on the set at all. And I love Kendrick, but that wasn't his place to perform.
So you could have gave me my Chronic and my Doggy Style. Maybe thrown a little deep cover in there in the 6-4, and I would have been fine. But
And I
didn't do
love
any of
Mary
that.
too.
They just lost 2 points. I don't even know why I was thinking about giving them a 7. This was some mid, Mike. You understand the songs you just named they didn't play?
Yeah. I love Mary too, but I think that it was unfair to Mary to relegate her whole 30-year career to one Dr. Dre produced song and half a No More Drama. She deserves a set on her own. You know what I mean?
We can't get like what's the song off My Life where like they got the dancers in it even in the video. It got the old Rick James beat to it.
I thought you were going to talk about Just Fine. No?
Mike, I'm cool with Just Fine.
Yeah. Yeah, Mary could have done this herself, you know what I mean? And
I mean, Mike, we could have gone anywhere. If she was gonna go ballad, I mean, we could have gone like Everything or Not Gonna Cry or something like bigger than No More Drama. Like, let's go to some of her #1 hits. How about that?
And even with this whole thing of it being a Snoop Dogg and Dre thing, those two guys could have done that 15-minute performance and they could have performed songs that everyone knew. So it's not like they have songs that, you know, only certain heads know or something. Those songs that I named, and you close it out with California Love, like I said, they did it at Coachella. And for people who haven't seen the Coachella performance, it's streamed live on YouTube when it happened. I remember when it happened. I watched it live in 2012. Go look at it, look it up on YouTube, man. It's a great performance. They went an hour straight with just them. And then they were able to bring Kendrick out and do Compton. And I know times have changed with that or whatever, but yeah, man. I mean, if you want to keep it really LA and it being in LA and you want to keep the flavor of LA, I don't understand why they had to spread themselves so thin. Because this is the thing, Coop. Shakira and Jennifer Lopez were able to just hold down their show together. And nobody's going to sit here and tell you that Jennifer Lopez has a stronger catalog than Snoop Dogg. No one's going to tell you that Shakira has a stronger catalog than Dr. Dre. So if those two could have just done their show by themselves, how come Snoop and Dre couldn't do that?
You're making valid. I mean, I know you're asking these questions in a rhetorical format, but you're making valid assertions with what you're saying. Because I had forgot about that show. Because quite frankly, I'm gonna tell you what about that show didn't slap. The music. They ain't got no hits like that. They ain't got no bangers like that. Like, I get what you was trying to do, and I get it's, physically appealing for the male audience to look at.
Well, it was in Miami, so they were trying to cater to a Latin American,
community,
you know what I mean? Yeah.
South American,
and
Latin,
that's cool.
American.
That's
no.
cool.
There's nothing wrong with catering to an audience. It's what.
But they were in LA. Y'all should have catered to Long Beach and Compton.
So, Mike, this is what I'm trying to say. From somebody who lived out there, that has family out there now, who goes back there. When I'm saying deep cover, everybody out there on the West Coast know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the embodiment of that feeling of what made us gravitate towards him. And it was the back and forth of the chemistry. Deep cover is where it starts. That's why I keep bringing it up. It's like, no. Start with where it started, because you're in LA where it started. So deep cover, G-Thing, Let Me Ride, the Candy Red 6'4" from the, no, all of that. Murder Was the Case, Snoop coming out in the wheelchair. No. That's why we love you. So do that.
You know, and again, I know that Joe Bro and some other people.
Big problem. I'm sorry, Mike. Just let me finish this.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Big problem with people in this business not doing what got them there in the most prime and biggest and opportune moments. We have a problem with it. It's almost like, let me give them this watered down shit. No. How about you do that shit that got you here? How about that?
Because the thing is, man, I think I saw a comment where DeCarlo said that it'd be too hip hop if it was just those two. So my question would be, how much of a win for hip hop was this show? if they had to go down this route to get on the stage.
That's why I'm trying to tell you, Mike, if Wu-Tang Clan has to show up and they're telling them they can't do shadow boxing, I don't want it. If I don't hear shadow boxing, let it be because the artist doesn't want to perform it. Because
Yeah.
if you're telling me you want hip hop, then shadow boxing belongs. And just on some real rap shit, it's a better song than Triumph. So
It's
slide
like,
that
no,
over.
don't tell me this is a hip hop show if y'all not wanting us to bring some hip hop.
Right. So if we can't play deep cover, and that's where Dre and Snoop got their start, then that means that you don't want Dre and Snoop. That's why I keep bringing up deep cover. If you're not taking the start, then you're not really taking it.
Can I go on a little Eminem tangent real quick?
I'm not going to reply, but go.
Could this possibly have been a setup, for him to look a certain way with the kneel? Because he's looking very valiant after the kneel or said kneel, and then they had the story out there that I'm sure someone made up that the NFL didn't want him to kneel because, we've seen the NFL and its owners go out there and kneel, in unison. So I don't believe that part of the story. But anyway, could this possibly be something on a PR level to make Eminem look good after that whole, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing? And the fact that he got consideration very early. Now he's looking like, I guess, for lack of a better term, a social activist.
Jamel Hill made a very astute comment, and it was the brevity of it was the strength of it. It was pretty much like, well, I just want him to explain the rationale for the kneel.
Yeah, let's talk. Because the thing is,
Conversation.
people go out here and do stuff, just like the Kendrick performance,
Explain
and it's
it.
like, oh, it's just left to your interpretation. No, if you're doing this in such a socially active form, talk about it. What's up? Because these
Yeah.
people who don't do interviews can get away with doing anything and just leave it up to your interpretation. So you face no backlash on one end or another because it's like certain people could say, oh, it wasn't that, and certain people could give you props and say it was that.
Are you saying that you, by kneeling or standing with Colin? That's the
No.
only question that really needs to be asked. By kneeling during the halftime show, are you standing with Colin and what he represents by taking the kneel? And if you can't answer that question with clearness, with clarity, with conciseness,
Well, this is my thing too. Okay, you kneel. To me, it's one of those things where these symbolic gestures, what do they actually do? It's
No, that's what I'm
useless,
saying. What do you
man.
do?
I'm sorry. If actual things haven't been done or activated in that way, because that's the thing. Social activists are active and they activate. You sitting there kneeling for a second without any clarity on top of that does nothing. I think
Right.
anybody with the brain, doesn't want to see unarmed people, black men, killed by cops, right? So,
Except for the racist people, and there's
of
millions
course.
of those
And
running
so,
around, Mike.
with all the people that Eminem has around in his history, I think that we already know that he stands with Colin Kaepernick, right?
hmm
So, what does that do? Are we surprised that someone whose best friend was Proof, someone who put on D12, someone who made it in black music, is sitting here saying, you know what? I think Colin Kaepernick's right.
No, but what he does need to explain is why he placed himself in the sphere in terms of how he represented himself in that. Because
Shut-
it's like,
I'm sorry.
no.
Miss Mo said something that I did want to address.
No. Let Miss Mo talk.
Miss
Go
Mo
ahead.
said, didn't Jay tell us we were past kneeling? I guess Eminem didn't get the memo, right?
Oh,
Go ahead.
I didn't know he was just doing what Jay said. That
Well,
was the
that's
thing
what
about
Jay
it.
said, right? He said that right in front of the commissioner. He said we're past kneeling.
Mike, it brings a whole nother level of questions. It's like, what has Jay and Rock Nation really done about these social issues that they claim that they were going to step in and take part in when they took on this relationship too? It
Collect
just seems
money.
like no. It just seems like all of our black stars are in there trying to take their piece of the pie of the money, and so it's like I want Eminem to explain, but I'm not levying any accusations or charges against him that I'm not levying against my own. Like Rock Nation needs to be brought to the front. about what they haven't done that they said they were going to do about like doing, because getting Dr. Dre and Snoop to perform at the Super Bowl and then not giving me no deep cover and murder was the case. Don't do it for me because it's not hip hop.
They didn't get Dr. Dre and Snoop to perform. Snoop did one verse.
I don't need you. Like we didn't need Rock Nation to get Dr. Dre and Snoop to perform in LA, did we? Not at that watered down format. So everybody just needs to be brought to the carpet. Eminem just needs to be brought to the carpet about what he's representing with the kneel, because that affects this community and this culture, because Colin did that about our culture and our community being affected by being profiled by the police and kneeled to raise the awareness at which the profiling and thereby murders were taking place. Now, what is your rationale for it?
Well, this is my thing when it comes to the Colin Kaepernick thing, right? When Kaepernick was doing it, nobody was standing by him. They waited until everything got watered down, because if people remember, this happened before Trump was in office. This was when Hillary and Trump were campaigning and Obama was still in office. And when Obama was still in office and he was out here kneeling, he was damn near kneeling by himself. There were a few players here and there that were doing it, and they were getting suspended. They were getting, they were getting cut from teams. I remember when LeBron and Steph, they did a press conference or whatever before the NBA season. They said they will be standing for the pledge. They asked Steph if he knew Kaepernick, because Steph was in the Bay Area. He said he never met the man. This is what happened when he was actually doing it. And all these rappers, entertainers, and all that, wasn't nobody standing with Cap then. They wait till the shit's done and over, watered down to the point where you had owners and players kneeling on the field together. Now it's cool to kneel. Now it's cool to stand with Cap. I don't know how Cap feels about this, but I know me personally, if I had to go through what he went through and being ostracized and being basically isolated by his peers, I'd be like, man, y'all could keep that shit, man. Wasn't nobody standing by me when it was happening.
No, that doesn't help his mission and his cause and his new life. Although when he goes,
they don't help him anyway.
Hold on. When he goes home at night, he should actually definitely express and espouse that in the private company of those close to him. But how about this, Mike? He's more important to us now than all of those people because of that. So fuck those guys on that level. You feel what I'm saying? So he don't never need to say a thing, because really, you know what I was thinking about, and I was laughing. I was like, that's because these guys are not Cap, because they all Cap. Next.
Well, again, I think that
they all Cap.
I think everybody can have their own perception of what happened, but all I can say is I'm just going with the facts. While it was going on, none of these people who claim to be standing with Cap were standing anywhere near him.
And I do want people to understand this. Like, okay, social activism coming from your entertainers and your sports stars is not social activism if they're just putting money behind it. That's a donation.
I've gotten to a point.
That's a donation and a tax write-off. That's not social activism.
Well, I mean, again, it is, but it isn't. It all depends on what your.
If they're doing what they're doing with it, which is accepting tax write-offs on it, and we know that that's what they're doing, and they're not giving their time, it's a donation to an organization, and that's not social activism.
Well, okay, all right, yeah, but at the end of the day, I think there are positions in social activism, right? If you have people who do have the time and ability to actually go out there on the ground, and you have people who have the financial abilities to actually put some money behind people who are doing that with no strings attached, I think that's a level of activism. But this is what I will say.
Those are called donors.
That's fine. Okay, you could be a donor to activists, but this is what I will say. I do think that the notion of us feeling like people whose bread and butter is in entertainment and who are paid by the establishment, if we think that those people are going to be leaders and go against the grain, you're not thinking this through thoroughly.
No, that's why I was saying, it's like when everybody was all happy, like the Rock Nation, NFL and all that, I was like, okay, let's see what they do. They've done nothing.
No, they're doing business. They have done a lot. They haven't done
Oh
what
no, they've done a lot of
they've
business. No,
done a
they've done a
lot,
lot
but
of
they
business
haven't
for
done
Rock
what
Nation and
people.
building Rock Nation up.
Yeah.
What percentage of Rock Nation staff is black?
This is the thing, and
Bro.
I know we're not getting invited to the luncheon anyway.
No, I mean, no, we're speaking facts now. This isn't an attack on a guy. This is an attack on the fundamental practices of the organization. They made some promises in this community, but they just doing what, quite frankly, a lot of preachers do at the pulpit. They talking real good and they just taking our money
Well, no,
again.
no. What they've done was they used an opportunity where there were lack of inclusion and there were racial disparities when it came to people involved in the
Had to
NFL's
improve.
organization, and they filled in that spot. Like,
What have
okay,
you done?
these are the people that you have doing this. Well, we're a black-owned company. As a sign of inclusion, I think we need to be enlisted here and be able to, work with the NFL in this capacity. That's what they've done. And again,
They haven't done that though, Mike. They
no,
haven't.
they got the gig. That's what they were doing.
Right. That's what I keep trying. Okay,
They
I
got
get
the
what you're
gig.
saying. We didn't need them to get the gig, Mike, because like you said, we own the gig anyway. They were coming this way anyway.
No, I
I
ain't saying they did that. No, we didn't need that.
They haven't done anything to Mike. This is what I'm trying to say. Have Prince and Michael Jackson performed at the Super Bowl already? That is black music. You didn't bring more blackness to music.
No,
Like,
no, I'm not saying
you
that.
didn't bring blackness to the NFL, Mike. Are there more black coaches? Are there more black people in the infrastructure of the front offices? Are there more black owners? Is there more any blackity black anywhere since Rock
Yeah.
Nation stepped in? The answer is hell no. So they haven't done anything.
No, what like I said, they got
You
the
got Dre and
job.
Snoop. You got Dre and Snoop. You got Snoop Dogg to do one verse in L.A. at the Super Bowl. Bravo.
Like I said, they got the job. And what they're gonna tell people is,
Got the
look,
job.
give me some time. You'll wait and see. So this
How long have they
is
had this job?
this is the page out of the Obama book.
How long have they had this job? Once again, we're gonna go back to
Let me go to my notes.
Mike. We've had a lot of conversations in this culture about people showing up to work, doing work, having a job. How long have they had this job? And what have they done since they had this job? I'm tired of people getting credit for just showing up to work when they ain't even really showing up to work or doing their job or doing what they said. You don't deserve credit.
I mean, listen, man.
Your
Let me
job.
ask you this. Let me ask you this.
You said you wanted
What-
some more
let me-
inclusion. We
let me
do not
ask you
need
this,
you
Coop.
to bring Dr. Dre and Snoop in LA. That is not inclusion. That is simple.
No,
That
the
is
inclusion-
mathematics. 1 + 1 is 2.
Cool. The inclusion is them getting the job. What did
Right.
they promise people?
But who do they employ more of? Because
Yeah, I
it's
know.
not us.
I know. I mean,
Right. So what
look who their
inclusion-
president is.
What inclusion are they talking about? Most
Look-
of your company is run by white people. What inclusion?
Look at their board. The
Board
inclusion
meetings.
is Jay-Z's the founder.
Right.
I
So-
sell ice in the
so
winter.
you have a
I
black
sell fire
founder.
in hell. I am a hustler, baby. I sell water to a well.
So we have a black founder. So we're just gonna pawn this piece on up the board until we can turn it into a queen or a bishop or a rook. No.
It's the revolt move. Damn, man, we ain't going to none of these events, man. Shit.
I think people are here with us because we don't have any plans on going to these events.
Nah,
no way.
I'm cool, man.
As a matter of fact, might end up shutting some of these events down with our behavior. It's okay with me.
Hey, listen, man. Like I
Guys,
said,
get their shit together and stop lying to people.
what
'Cause that's really
promises?
this is
What
about.
promises did Rock Nation make the public?
About bringing more diversity and inclusion into all spectrums of the NFL, which they've done none of. They just have a black founder and they just tote it around. We don't need y'all to bring Mike. It don't take anybody with half a brain to know that it's like, well, we're in LA.
Well, let me ask you this:
Super Bowl.
What does
What do we do that's going to be hip and current for?
what does
our-
diversity mean?
And understand that when I'm saying Dre and Snoop, Mike, they picked it demographically the way they've always picked it. They went 35 to 45. They didn't do anything different. It made sense to pick Dre and Snoop in LA demographically. If you go look at who's the biggest coming out of LA demographically from that time, it is those guys. Rock Nation did nothing.
Let me
They
ask you
did
this,
nothing.
Coop. Let me ask you this: What does diversity mean?
I mean, apparently we just need to have somebody black in there. Apparently, one
I
black
don't
person is
think I don't
diversity.
think
We have a
diversity
black,
even means
we have a,
black.
we have a black founder, so there's diversity.
I don't
What kind
think diversity even means black. I mean, one could
what do you,
say one could
I think
say
diversity
that
is a
no,
rude word at this point, but go ahead.
one could say that the Jennifer Lopez and Shakira halftime show was diversity.
I do. No, I would agree with that.
One could say that the weekend, I think he did last year, right? That was a Rock Nation thing too. One
No,
could
that was
say that the
black.
weekend was
No,
diversity.
no, that's
He's
not
not
diversity.
white.
No, that's not
I think
diversity.
diversity has turned into a term that's like if you're
I
not
told you
white,
it's a rogue word
if
now.
you're not a white man, actually, because you could be a white woman and still be diversity because you're implementing women. Because white women are considered minorities as well.
I want to
So
see
if we look at the
organization.
board for Rock Nation, they're actually
I
diverse.
want to. Here's what I want. I want organizations. No, because you're asking me kind of to be clear about it. I want organizations that are founded or ran by blacks that hype up their community to make it seem like they are doing things for the betterment of their people, when really all they are doing is bettering the few people that they have in those predominant positions, and the totality of their staff does not even skew in the majority side in terms of our color scheme. All of these things are problematic when you feed it to our people and then you do nothing. I don't have a problem with you feeding it. I don't. But when you do nothing, we just need to say that you've done nothing and not let you do it again.
Well, the
And so
thing
I
is,
want this partnership with Rock Nation and the NFL to end because they haven't done what they said they were going to do. That's it.
let me go to Mr. Mills' super chat. Shout out to you for the super
You
chat,
did
Mr.
nothing
Mills.
for us. I'd like to thank you for showing up and taking your money, like a lot of other black people do in your position. You guys are no better. Kiss my ass. Have a good night.
Eminem is on the mission to gain credibility, but keeps missing the mark. The fast, nonsensical rapping is the empty gesture, and the empty gesture of kneeling ain't it. Okay, I can get back to that. What I will say is, no one's gonna hold Jay-Z accountable. He doesn't do any interviews. Who's gonna talk to him? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the thing. What we've done, we have
Yep.
created a climate, Coop, where entertainers who don't speak to the media, who have such strong fan bases that their fan bases will make all kind of excuses for them. No one's going to be able to hold them accountable on any level. No one's going to sit down with Jay-Z, and he's not going to sit down with anyone who's not going to give him a hardball interview. Everything's
Now,
going
I
to
was
be
about to say,
softball.
I'll sit down with him any second of the day.
But he's not going to sit down with you.
Right. He
He's
don't
not going
want
to
no
sit down
parts
with
of
me.
this.
He's not going to do that.
He don't
He'll
want no
sit down
parts of
with he'll sit down with Charlemagne or something, and he'll get
Right,
softball
he'll
questions.
sit down with the people that are going to kiss his ass, and that's part of the problem. Too many people have been kissing too many people's ass instead of actually auditing people properly. They haven't been properly audited, and they've been placed above the fray. And so that's cool. If they don't want to speak, we're just going to speak the truth and tear your ass to shreds in the process. So keep on not speaking, because people like me are officially about to speak while you're quiet and make you look like who you really are. So
Well, Jay-Z's here to do business, and again,
again.
Jay-Z's here to do business, and
And it's not just Jay. This is Rock Nation. That's why I'm bringing up Rock Nation. There's a whole bunch of pieces involved in the fucking. It's not Jay.
I agree with that, but like you said, Rock Nation is in position to do these things because Jay-Z is a pillar in black culture, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Pillar
Because
has he
if
really
Rock
been?
Nation was started by somebody else, they wouldn't be in these
But
positions.
what kind of pillar has he been really? Has he been somebody that's been gaining business for himself that donates money, or is he a pillar?
Yeah,
Right.
he's somebody that's been gaining money for himself.
Right.
But he
Somebody-
told us that. He told us
donor.
that. Is
So
anybody
stop treating
listen?
him- So when I treat him like the donor that he is, that's not me hating on him. He's not the pillar that he makes himself out to be.
When did
Because
he ever
makes
make himself
to be
out
that
to?
pillar when he talks about these things that these organizations that he runs are going to do for our community that never get done. He just puts up.
What
the
did
money.
he say he was
That's
going to
cool
do
if
for
you
the
wanna put up
community?
the money, Mike. There was a whole statement from him when this whole partnership started about the inclusion of blacks on every level. What part of that are you missing?
Did he
He
say
said we were going to
blacks?
contribute to that.
Did he say blacks or did he say
Mike,
minorities?
Mike, it's been a long time.
I'm,
I
I'm
don't.
just saying those are the words that they make
Mike,
sure.
it's been a long time. I'm about to go try to pull up the
Try to
statement.
pull it up because those are the type of words that they use so they don't get held to that standard. Because if he said minority, then they've done that. Shout out to Ray Realms for the super chat. He says, sending many hip hop Hall of Famers to the Super Bowl was justified. Jay-Z had to front load the talent since the NFL thumbs their nose up at hip hop. This is my thing about it. I just didn't feel like it was it was hip hop performers on the show, but did y'all really feel like that show was a hip hop show? I don't know. It was a bit watered down again. We kind of called the songs that were going to be on there, but I didn't believe that Snoop Dogg was going to get pushed to the back in the way that he did. When I saw the lineup, I already knew it was going to be kind of watered down anyway because that was just too many performers within a 15-minute span. But the way that they arranged it where Dr. Dre was kind of like the, I guess, puppet master for lack of a better term, and
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You must have found you found it, huh? What'd he say?
No, I want to read all of it, Mike.
Okay. Well, Coop just found Rock Nation's statement because I've been asking, like, what do we expect Rock Nation to do? And go ahead, Coop. You read the statement that they made.
Rock Nation, the entertainment company founded by rapper and businessman Sean Jay-Z Carter, is entering into a multi-year partnership with the NFL to enhance the NFL's live game experiences and to amplify the league's social justice efforts. This is in the first statement.
Okay.
Amplify the league's social justice efforts. As part of the agreement, Rock Nation will advise on the selection of artists for major NFL performances like the Super Bowl. A major component of the partnership will be to nurture and strengthen community through football and music, included through the NFL's Inspire Change Initiative.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL formally launched the Inspire Change Initiative in early 2019 after more than 2 years of work with NFL players with the goal of creating positive change in communities across the country. Through this initiative, NFL teams in the league office work with the Players Coalition and other NFL players to support programs and initiatives that reduce barriers to opportunity with a focus on 3 priority areas: education and economic advancement, police and community relations, and criminal justice reform. Within its global reach, the National Football League has the platform and opportunity to inspire change across the country, Carter said in a press release. Rock Nation has shown that entertainment and enacting change are not mutually exclusive ideas. Instead, we unify them. This partnership is an opportunity to strengthen the fabric of communities across America. Carter added Wednesday during a Q&A with select media, "I'm really into action. I'm into real work. I'm not into how it looks. How it looks only lasts for a couple of months until we start doing the work. I've been in this position many times. Take Title has a great example from 5 years ago." Mike, you want me to keep going?
No, keep going. Because you know what? I'm listening to hear the word black. I haven't heard any of that. And I'm going to ask you what all this stuff means.
Right.
Because it sounds like a bunch of nothing.
That's what I keep on trying to say. Now people look at it today, people have a different outlook on it. So I've been in this position many times. I just show up and do the work. I'm not interested in how things look on the outside. Mm-hmm. If protesting on the field is the most effective way, then protest on the field. But if you have a vehicle that you can inspire change and you can speak to the masses and educate at the same time, did Obama speechwriters write this for him? Carter said that the platform that the NFL provides speaks to the community, to the work in the community that the league and Rock Nation can do together. So all bullshit is what I'm saying.
I don't really. I mean, it was buzzwords. It was full of buzzwords.
It's all bullshit.
Words saying action, but not really exactly what this action was. It said some things that they wanted to do for communities, but they didn't say what communities they were for.
No, it didn't, Mike, because they don't know what they're doing because they're doing nothing but taking your money.
No, they know what they're doing.
No, they don't.
They know what they're doing. Then that's
in
nothing.
In terms of taking your money, they know what they're doing. But in terms of having any sort of real social reform, Mike, I want you to understand that the first paragraph states what the initiative is supposed to be.
What is that?
Amplify League social justice efforts. Specifically.
Hold on. Let's stop there. What
Hold
are
on,
the
no,
league's
Mike.
actual?
Mike, I,
No,
wa- I
hold on,
want to know what
stop
Rock
real
Nation
quick.
has done. No, I want to know what Rock Nation has done to enhance education and economic advancement, police and community relations, and criminal justice reform.
For who? What community?
No, Mike, Mike, no, on any sort of level. They haven't done any of this, not in any community for anybody. That's what I'm saying.
All
Like, they
right,
have none of it.
listen, to amplify the
Go
NFL's, what was
ahead.
it? Amplify NFL's social justice initiative. What is the NFL social justice initiative?
That's what I'm saying. This is all a bunch of bullshit.
So again, I mean, they put out a press release, like you said. They probably had some of Barry's, speechwriters or whatnot, and they got this done, and they got the deal. And what this was about was taking the heat off of the NFL for the moment because Kaepernick was a problem. And let's just keep it real. Let's keep it all the way above. This move is undermining to what Kaepernick was doing and his efforts in relation to the NFL. It was undermining. And not to mention, once again, Big Boy from Outkast caught all that shit about doing the halftime show because everybody was still trying to stand with Cap. And then this comes. And now you're saying you want to work with, and they're working with, and nothing is being done.
That's all I'm
Smoke
saying.
and mirrors.
Right.
Hocus pocus.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying is like this is just another situation where people are talking about doing some work. They're doing absolutely no work, but
Oh, he
that
did
in
some
their own
work.
pockets, in the pockets of the people around them. And here's what's so sad about it is that these are the things societally and community wise that we excoriate the white establishment for doing. And it seems like our black people get in positions of power and do the exact same thing.
Leroy Green says, y'all helping white folks do their job by tearing down Jay-Z. I love you, Leroy Green. You're very loyal to Jay regardless. But
Helping
that's
white
what we
people
were
do their job.
talking
No,
about.
he's helping white people. He's helping white people by not doing the work that he really should be doing, that he's in position to do, fam. I hate to be the one to break
No,
it to
listen,
you.
man. I don't want people to think that
I
anybody
don't
is
care
a
what
Jay
they say.
hater. I love Jay, man, as an artist.
Don't say that. He
And
hurt his own damn campaign, not us.
I
We
got
just
love for Jay, man.
facts.
I'm a
Right,
Jay
we
fan.
get facts. These are facts.
I'm a Jay fan, but you sometimes got to call things for what they are.
Right.
And
He's a
again,
great donator.
I don't have any problem with what Jay does because, like I'm trying to tell Coop, Jay has told us from day one, he's a hustler. He a hustler, baby. Just want you to know, he's out here to get this bread. That's how he does it. You know what I'm saying? And if the community is gonna believe certain things, he'll sell it to you. It's what it is, man. Like he said it in his music for decades. I don't know why we would expect anything else.
Right.
I mean, and that's fine. You know what? Because I appreciate that more than someone who speaks a certain way and then goes back and does something else. Jay has told you from day one what it's about, man. I
Right.
sell
And
fire in hell, man.
hold on. And he hasn't told us that he's changed either, Mike. And so
Leroy Green said, give it time, then look back. How much time you need, man? You know what, man? That's that Obama talk.
It is that Obama talk.
That's that Joe Biden talk.
He does very charitable works. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that he keeps trying to segue into this like activism thing, and it's like, nah, fam, like the real hustlers out here recognize that you still out here hustling with it, and so we calling you on it. So you're not about to skate and play that social activism game with some of us, because we can see how your activism, quote unquote, lines up to your business and your money interests. That's not activism. And so what Leroy you're talking about him as a charitable donator.
Listen, man. Let's keep it a buck. Everybody in this room.
Because everything he activates is lined up to what he's doing business-wise. And he said that. And so when people try to make it seem like he's transitioning into this place, it's like, nah, y'all just being hustled.
Oh, man, DeCarlo says something right out of, that I'm thinking. He said, Mike, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Entertainers are not the leaders we need. And that's just real. They're entertainers. They're doing their job. Their job is to stay popular and stay on television, and those things don't coincide with a lot of the community's needs. Listen.
It didn't used to always be that way. We had guys like James Brown and Curtis Mayfield once upon a time.
Yeah, but
It's always
television
made up.
wasn't. They weren't there for television. You know what I'm saying? As soon as those things changed.
Yeah, like
Um,
get your paper. Stop saying you hear from us. Nobody's stopping you from getting your paper. Because the reality is you keep saying you hear from us because you know that helps your paper.
Now, the
Right.
only thing that I have a problem with the hustling of Jay, right? Jay hustled Prince, man, and that whole title situation was about artists having ownership in music, and that's what
Um,
he sold us on. He sold us on the fact that title was for the artist, and obviously he sold Prince enough, who's been fighting this fight for artist ownership for decades, and Prince believed in title enough, where title was the only place you could get his material. He took it off that website format, and on a streaming level, Tidal was the only place you could get his material, right? And the fact that Jay went out here and sold Tidal to Jack Dorsey, it's like, come on, man. You knew you were
got
gonna
no
do that the
integrity,
whole
Mike.
time. That's not
He's
cool.
got no real integrity as a
That's not cool,
man.
man. Because at
Mike,
the end of the
he's got
day,
no
we
real
have been
integrity.
fighting for artists' rights from day one. And to do
Right.
that, that's not cool.
Mike, but that's what I'm saying. Mike, go pull up the rap sheet. The lack of integrity has been there from the jump. That's why I'm saying it's like when you get into the Prince move, it's like no, that's just the finishing move. He's been doing this the entirety of the time. This is a guy who like left the No Way Out tour because he felt like he wasn't getting enough shine. Like No Way Out sold like 6-7 million records.
Well, I have a
Like
problem with that. I mean,
like all I'm saying is he's just had a whole thing like the whole time, and people been like, "Oh, he's so great for our culture." It's like, no, he's an all-time great MC. He's a wonderful businessman. He's a great donator. But all this other stuff y'all be attaching to it, no, 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 no. It's like let's talk about all the sucker shit.
Leroy
That's
Green says, Tidal pays independent artists, fam. And you're right. But see, the whole point of Tidal was to have
empowered,
ownership.
right? Empowered.
Ownership and
Of
getting
fame.
paid are two different things. And he sold artists on ownership because Apple Music and Spotify were in this space. And this was a third medium that was started by the artists. Y'all remember that whole press conference where they had all of the big artists and their individual shares? And this was about artists finally being able to take in their own ownership on streaming platforms. So there's no selling going on there, at least especially not this quick. I'm pretty sure, let's just keep it real. I don't know, Prince never met him, but I'm pretty sure Prince wouldn't have been happy if he was here living with the fact that Jack Dorsey was able to buy Tidal.
That's what it sounds like when doves cry.
Mike Midget says that Tidal is the only one who pays out the best. But again, y'all aren't understanding. It's not about the best. We're
y'all are
talking about
that. Y'all
ownership.
talking about that. I'm sorry, like I'm gonna call it what it is. Stop saying that slave shit mentality shit. Oh well, massa still pay me. We talking about ownership. Fuck that paying me shit.
He sold those artists on
We talking
ownership.
about ownership. Title was supposed to be about ownership, not about cutting a bigger check.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
damn,
stop that.
we don't win all the way around the world. Let me ask you this,
Oh, they
man.
pay out more. It's like y'all understand it was about ownership, right? Not about payouts, right? Because everybody else getting paid out too. Oh, they do the highest payouts. That's cute.
Leroy Green says, yes, Mike, but those owners get those artists get mailbox money. That's something. No, this is the thing. Ownership is what you can pass down to your lineage.
Oh,
Mailbox money is not. And
No,
he
it's not.
sold them on ownership. Prince has been talking about the only reason why you weren't able to stream Prince's music and it was only on his website because he owned his website and he owned his music. And whatever was sold to him by the people at Tidal, probably Jay-Z, Beyonce, whoever, made him believe that what he was doing on his website was going to be still going on with his partnership on Tidal and only Tidal on a streaming level. Now, selling that to a big corporation, which is Jack Dorsey, for a seat at the Cash App table, I would imagine Prince didn't think those were in the plans. That's all I'm saying.
I imagine, Mike, that he would get into legal battle about that.
I believe so. I mean, again,
Mike, he'll fight Warner Brothers.
yeah.
You think he's scared of these? He's looking at them like about to eat your food.
I mean, Nas tells that story about the fact that Prince wouldn't do a song with him because he didn't own his master. So I mean, let's just be real. Like he was sold on ownership, and obviously ownership wasn't the play for Tidal ultimately, and that's a problem I have. Like I said, if that's what you're gonna do, just be straight up about it. But again, I know it's tough sometimes when we're such fans of artists, entertainers, athletes, or whatever. We've been so invested in them. We will defend them to the death, no matter what, right? I mean, you just got to call things what they are, man.
Right.
You just got to call it what it is, man. He hustled Prince, man.
Right. So stop defending people when we're speaking factually about things that have occurred. I know it seems harsh, but that's because the truth of it is harsh. Like the reality of it is harsh. These things have gone on. It's not us piling on. It's not us running game. These things have happened. And quite frankly, when we say them out loud, we say it like it's some sucker shit because it is. Hello. We're supposed to talk about it for what it is. It's not solid. That ain't how you move out here with your people, especially when people keep buying into you and backing you and getting you to these positions and you keep doing sucker shit and snaking this person and cutting this person out and not employing enough black people, making generalized Obama speech written statements about your conjunctions with the NFL. Like it's all problematic. And we're just saying that it's problematic.
Midget Mike says, reach a contract.
Volume still up on the wall. Volume 1 still on the wall. That's 97 Hove on the wall still.
Midget Mike said, reach your contracts. And yes, we just read the statement, and you saw it was nothing. So, you're right. People need to read more.
To all of us.
Speaking of which, man, did you see that Kendrick Lamar has this Spotify, I guess it's like a series or whatnot. Anyways, highlighting To Pimp a Butterfly.
Fascinating.
I'm gonna pull it up, man. You know what I'm saying? Just so that people can talk about it.
I didn't say it like that.
Let me pull it up real quick.
I mean, you meant like, okay.
Yeah. So it says Kendrick Lamar's Spotify podcast premieres tomorrow.
Is this a regular thing?
I think it's like a series, but let me see. Let's see. Is that okay? Let me get everything right. Yeah, it says. This was Variety, by the way. It said, in what may be a case of unfortunate timing, Kendrick Lamar will be appearing in an extended Spotify podcast series that examines his classic 2015 album, To Pimp a Butterfly, premiering Wednesday, February 16th. The show was actually announced, at the beginning of January, but it debuts in the wake of the firestorm of controversy around the company's stance on Joe Rogan's podcast spreading, COVID-19 misinformation and his frequent past use of racial slurs in the program, blah, blah, blah. Reps for Lamar didn't immediately respond to Variety and requests for comments. However, the series premieres follows Lamar's appearance in the Super Bowl, where many fans notice his absence and more controversial lyrics of his song, All Right. Yeah, so they're going in a whole blurb about that. But what's this whole thing about? Asked directly by TMZ on Monday about the lyric omission of Dr. Dre, and they're talking about that. What is this podcast about? Okay. I think they're not going to say anything about this until the end of it. Okay, here it is.
What time is the podcast on Wednesday?
It probably is just live now, so people can go listen to it now. But the 5-part podcast will appear on Spotify's The Big Hit Show, a series hosted by music journalist Alex Papadopoulos. That says will take listeners on the epic journey in spans of genres, mediums, and generations to explore what happened when wildly successful pieces of pop culture get so big that it changes the world. The series examines the Twilight book. Talking about Twilight. What is this about? The series was produced by former President and First Lady Barack and Michelle Obama's Higher Ground Media Company and features a clip of Lamar and 2 album guests, P-Funk founder George Clinton and rapper Rhapsody. In hip-hop, we have this thing with sophomore jinx. I think that's just period, not just hip-hop. Lamar says, I took it upon myself to do something that inspires me. Going back into the album, it was me explaining my experience and what emotions it brought up and experienced it, telling them like, yo, this is something bigger than Compton. and where I'm from. That's interesting, man. We were just talking about that album last episode, right?
Correct.
Okay. Well, we're not gonna get any new music from Kendrick Lamar. So what we are gonna get
So we're
is
getting
Kendrick.
podcast breakdowns instead of new music.
Yeah,
That's
we're
what
gonna get
I
a
heard about.
5-part series of Kendrick Lamar talking about an album that he never deemed classic. I've never heard him say this about To Pimp a Butterfly. I remember him on air with Big Boy ranking it number 3 in his catalog. He said Good Kid, Mad City. He said Damn, and then he said To Pimp a Butterfly, and I think he said Section 80 after that. Um, yeah, man, this is not a good sign for his new music, man. I think we're getting into classic mode with Kendrick now. Like he's acting like he's a has-been artist or something.
Well, let's unpack a couple of things. First of all, there's still no music, but there's podcasts going on.
Yeah.
I want to question, and I want you to listen to what I'm saying, because this is the part why I question doing a podcast on To Pimp a Butterfly. This year is the 10-year anniversary of Good Kid, Mad City. This year is 2022. Good Kid, Mad City came out right around my 30th birthday. I'm 40 now. Good Kid, Mad City came out right after I turned 30. It's like October, like my birthday was October 2nd. It's like a week or two after Good Kid, Mad City was out. I feel like in my head, why is the build out for a podcast not being built around your seminal record that you released literally a decade? Because that's usually when we cycle stuff and get into these habits. We're cycling in and doing a podcast about a record that's 7 years old when your 10-year classic album is coming up. It just seems a little misplaced to
I
me
know
about
why.
what they're covering if he is covering. It's like you To Pimp a Butterfly is 7 years old. Good Kid, Mad City is 10 years old this year. And if you're releasing new music this summer or fall going into, it would make sense to kind of steamroll people into the nostalgia
I
of
know
10
why.
years ago of Good Kid, Mad City, rather than to, wax this, as you would quote, Mike, artsy fartsy stuff about To Pimp a Butterfly. I just think it's a little misplaced.
I know why. All right is why. I think the social climate is why. I think that he has more compelling things that could fit with today's narrative that could be podcasted about, as opposed to Good Kid, Mad City. He could talk about where things were socially. He could talk about again. It's clear that All Right is his biggest song now, right?
Right. So Good Kid, Mad City came out 10 years ago, Mike. We haven't heard an album from him in 5 years.
Yo,
Think about
Henry H wants to know what's the name of your new podcast.
Who?
Somebody in the chat, Henry H. He wants to know what's the name of your new podcast. I guess you said that last episode that you were starting a new podcast.
It's called Mirror Poetics. The high school newspaper me and my friend Andrew ran at West Charlotte was called The Mirror. We ran it together for 2 years. The podcast is called Mirror Poetics. We're actually supposed to record our fourth episode tomorrow at some point. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's great stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew and I have known each other since we were 15 years old. So, yeah.
You know what? I guess I stand corrected, right? We were talking about Kendrick doesn't have anything to roll out. Eminem was selling spaghetti. Snoop took over Death Row.
Selling To Pimp a Butterfly? Why are you selling To Pimp a Butterfly? Like, Good Kid, Mad City is so easier to sell to your audience. It's so easier to sell in this climate of culture, and it's going on 10 years. It's just you want to wax poetic about To Pimp a Butterfly. It's just like, okay, I'd rather hear you talk about what you were thinking when you made Backseat Freestyle or Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe. Like, it's going to be more fun and entertaining to hear those stories because the album's more fun and entertaining. Oh, here we go with I guess he is explaining the artsy stuff about To Pimp a Butterfly, I guess, which is dope. But I mean, Mike, you kind of explained it really well on the album. That's why the album sounds the way that it sounds. It's very well explained, like in the writing, the sentiments being expressed. So it's like, I don't know what he's about to bring together, because that album is as detailed and as self-effacing as an album's gonna get, even down to the back and forth Tupac conversation. Like, what points are he gonna intimate that the album didn't? Because it's one of the few albums that like explains everything kind of for you and leaves it there. What is he going to talk about?
I don't know what to make of this, honestly.
Right.
But again,
Like,
it kind of reiterates my notion or my theory that the music he's making right now must not be hitting.
right, but here's what I'm saying is you want to know what's more exciting than all that stuff I just named? You're like, yo, what was you and J-Rock doing the night y'all made money trees? What was going on in Compton? You feel what I'm saying? That's just more. It's just more.
It makes me feel like, again, that, it's like he's looking back now. And a
Is he
person at this
35?
point in his career, you would think that he would still be looking forward, and he's looking back now, and it's not even, like you said, it's not even an anniversary album. Like, I could see celebrating 10 years of Good Kid, Mad City and keeping it going, like what Jay did in '06 with Reasonable Doubt, right? But, yeah, this just doesn't look good for future music. It's almost like he's hanging it up. We talking about To Pimp a Butterfly now. We talking about an album that you placed third. We're not even talking about, things that you think are your seminal pieces of work unless that has changed.
No, we're talking
Um,
about stuff that's not that exciting to explain either, though, Mike. Like, are you excited to hear about the tracks from To Pimp a Butterfly, like how they got made? Because it's already kind of like clear and right there for you, kind of very much like It Takes a Nation to Millions, like a Clemini. It's like, no, it's kind of right there. You can kind of see what they did and how they did it. They put it right there in front of you. What is he going to talk
Dark
about?
Matter says the podcast isn't a hip hop based podcast, so it's easy to see why it's about To Pimp a Butterfly.
Okay. I didn't know that. That's some insight. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, The Pimp a Butterfly did get the 5 Grammys. But it's, I don't know, man. I'll put it this way, and I mean this.
Exciting the album. That's what I mean. So you're doing a podcast. You got to talk about stuff that's kind of like exciting. Like Damn and Good Kid, Mad City are way more exciting to talk about.
I'm not interested in anything Kendrick right now outside of new music.
I mean, truthfully, me either, Mike, because I really don't want to recount a Good Kid, Mad City like that either, because you haven't released the album in 5 years. So I really just want to hear what you got. Because really, what we have now, and this is what we know for certain. Well, so what? Section 80's 2010. Damn's 2016. Well, we only got 6 years worth of recording material.
No, Damn's 2017. I want to say, I feel like Section 80's 11.
You're right. Section 80 is 11. So we got 6. So it still remains the same. We got 6 years worth of recording material out of him. So what I really want from you is more recording material.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna apologize to everybody on this podcast, man. I put Kendrick in the top 10, and maybe like a year ago. You know what? I would be way more comfortable with Snoop Dogg being a top 10 MC all time than Kendrick and Jada. And I know we've said those things about Jada as well. I know a lot of people leave Snoop out of their top 10, and what I really noticed with this Super Bowl halftime show is minimizing Snoop Dogg is a big mistake.
It was. It's the biggest mistake.
He's the biggest star on that stage. He's the best performer on that stage. Clear. And he had some of the biggest songs that were just totally omitted from that show. And I start going down this Snoop Dogg rabbit hole and thinking about the different eras that Snoop was able to survive in. Death Row, we talked about this in a previous show. When Pac, Biggie, and everybody was alive, he was the biggest.
Selling more records than all of them.
Yeah. And then he went on and was able to survive in that No Limit era. Came back around, worked with the Neptunes. Him and Pharrell had some chemistry. Then him and Wiz Khalifa had some chemistry. Now he's doing what he's doing now. People are saying that Snoop Dogg ain't top 10. Well, why not? And I think a lot of people say that because he's not a lyrical miracle rapper. But when we talk about being able to put together songs and being able to stand the test of time, and who has a catalog like his, there's only a handful.
You and I talk behind the scenes about it. It's like, well, he's intangibly great.
He is.
Like, he has intangibles that you just cannot teach. And really, if you want to look at him as an MC, Mike, the only thing that he is missing is the lyrical miracle, Wu-Tang, Nas, Biggie, Rakim, Redman, just superior rhyme skill stuff. Because he actually has everything else, Mike. What you want? You want somebody who can make songs? Well, I think he's the guy. You want delivery, voice, charisma, stage presence, performance, classics, classic albums. You get what I'm saying? Because Mike, I'm gonna tell you what. When you started talking about how Snoop got minimized, I really realized how much he really got minimized. Because I'm like, do you understand that Snoop probably could have done this show without Dr. Dre?
He could have. Snoop could have done this show himself, to be perfectly honest.
He could have came Sea Walking to Drop It Like It's Hot and done Beautiful and Lay Low.
Yeah.
Yeah, or something. You get what I'm saying?
And he could have went out there and,
he could have done
it. I also didn't like the fact that, and you kind of spoke to it earlier, like going away for the things that made you. Mm-hmm. Like, would it be too much to have Corrupt go up there and do his part on next episode? Because Snoop had to go out there and do Snoop Dogg and, all that stuff, and then do da-da-da-da-da, and it was, it was a breath control thing because he's doing both his part and Corrupt's part. Was it too much to have Corrupt out there do something like that? Was it too much to even pay some level of tribute to Nate Dogg or something? You know what I mean?
Well, they could have just scratched up. But Mike, that was my thing. That's why I told you I didn't want to hear the next episode, is because it's like, well, Nate's not here. So play something, about the people that's here, because there's plenty of hits to go around, Mike.
Okay, back to Snoop, though. I saw a comment that said, Mike is wrong as usual. Kendrick Lamar's music is better than Snoop's. Is it?
No, the catalog is better, but...
Is it?
Yes, the catalog.
Again, Snoop has these intangibles, man. Because I get it. Snoop has a lot of forgettable albums, but if we talk about the best stuff, you're not competing.
Now, the best, you didn't parse it out by saying, well, who has the best high-end material? Because the best high-end material is Snoop. The best material end to end is Kendrick. Like, how about this?
They do a versus, Snoop is smoking Kendrick.
Oh, it'd be so embarrassing. But here's
what I'm saying. And I hope y'all don't think that if they go 20 for 20, Kendrick's winning that.
No. How about this? If you go 100 songs deep, Kendrick got them. But them first 20,
do we
30,
got 100 songs?
Yeah, we got about 100. That's what I'm saying.
You got 100?
Yeah, we got about 100 Kendrick songs.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Because all his projects are going to give you about 13 to 16 actual songs. And he's made 4 or 5 of them. Yeah, so if you do the math, you do outtakes. Yeah. He's got about 100.
I don't know if he beats Snoop in that 100 run, man. Because if we start talking about Snoop's 100 best, we're having a different conversation too.
So the songs are going to be better from Snoop's side on that first 50, but the MCing is going to have to come into play at some point, and the ability to compose different variety of songs on different multitudes of levels is where I say Kendrick's catalog is better, but he don't have nothing fucking with what's on the Doggy Style or the Chronic, like nothing.
I don't think his catalog's better.
Mike, you can't say that, Mike, because when you line up Kendrick's catalog, we can go Section 80, Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly. Damn, you can't line Snoop's best 4 albums up.
Album for album, yes, I will agree with that.
That's
but
what I'm saying.
We're talking song for song,
okay.
Because there's 2 different conversations here. You got album catalog and you got song catalog. Because as dope as I think Kendrick's albums are, a lot of his songs are forgettable. And you have spoken to that when we talk about To Pimp a Butterfly.
No, you might have a point. Snoop is such a bigger charismatic star and personality, so the records are just more enjoyable. I don't know
and
how
like
much
Sophia said, Snoop's features.
So, like, here's what I mean. So how about this? Remember Can I Get a Flick with You?
Mm-hmm. I love that record.
I love Can I Get a Flick with You. Mike, I'd rather hear Can I Get a Flick with You over how much $1 costs, but I know it's not a better record. You feel what I'm saying? And so Snoop's going to win that over Kendrick all the time, but the record's not necessarily better. You feel me?
No, if we sit here and pull in the features too,
features are perfect for Kendrick. That's why I'm just saying just them as their songs, so we pulling Snoop's features into it. Because here's what I'm saying. I'm treating Snoop like he wrote the Chronic, like he can use those records.
Again, if we don't do that.
No, we can do that.
Snoop's intangibles, when you talk about the features and stuff like that, like nobody really stands with him when it comes to that. And we don't give Snoop enough credit, and I think it is because he's not one of those guys that, is all lyrical miracle with his. But the fact that I think we've disrespected Snoop when we talk top 10 Kendrick conversation and we talk top 10 Eminem conversation, and Snoop Dogg's not a part of that.
He definitely didn't make the Chronic or Doggy Style. He did.
Because in my personal opinion, I get it. Marshall Mathers puts a lot of words together and shit, but when it comes to who is the better MC and we put everything together, Eminem's not even on the same page
So,
as Snoop.
do you remember when I was saying we really need to do like the category list and finish it up and really do rankings and everybody? So Snoop is one of those people because of all the things that he does in totality. He's going to shoot higher up than some people than you think, like Kendrick, like Eminem, probably, if you weigh all things out. If you keep it on some rap shit, and most of these lists are built on some rap shit, not on the totality of the MC. When I'm talking about some rap shit, it revolves around the lyrics and the rhymes.
Midget Mike says, shout out to him for the super chat too. He said, you can't compare 4 albums to 19 albums. It's unfair. And I totally agree with that. And you know what? We have
But
to give.
I'm not. I said line his 4 best albums up next to those. And
But
then
see,
have
that's
that
you know what's different about that, and I would say like the first 4 maybe.
You're gonna look
But
real
what we
bad
got,
in that.
what we got to give Snoop props for is the fact he's 30 years in, and he's still good, still active. And when you got somebody who, let's just be real, like you said, 6 years of activity, Kendrick hasn't even shown us that he could actually last 10 years active.
No, those are all fair assertions when you're talking about the intangibles, when you're talking about the career, when you're talking about the length and the amount of projects. All I'm saying to you is that on some rap shit, when you line up Kendrick's projects, like all of them, because he hasn't done as much work as Snoop, and then you go line up Snoop's best projects after the Chronic and Doggy Style, it's all Kendrick.
Kendrick got a better album than Doggy Style?
First of all, Mike,
not many people
here are
do.
the albums that I think are better than Doggy Style. Illmatic, Aquemini, Only Built for Cuban Links, and Paid in Full on a Good Day. The end.
I love Only Built for Cuban Links. I don't think it's better than Doggy Style.
I do, but that has to do with the rhyming aspect of it.
It's one of the most lyrical hip hop albums of all time.
I think it might be the most lyrical album ever.
Possibly, yes, but I don't think it's better than Doggy Style.
So when something is arguably the primo of something that's ever been in this culture, I'm going to give that a slight edge over Doggy Style.
Well, I think Doggy Style is probably the best banging album. Like when you talk about banger for banger, it's the best. It's the best crossover, real hardcore hip hop album ever, bar none.
Album ever. It's the most enjoyable rap record from beginning to end. That's what it is. So
Brian with us says, Mike D, you really said that Snoop is a better MC over Eminem. Oh my God, you surprise me every time. So you're telling me, all right, listen, what is an MC?
Oh Lord, we're not jumping down that rabbit hole.
You know what I'm saying? Because I want to know why y'all think that Eminem is a better MC than somebody like a Snoop Dogg who did make Murder Was the Case, who is a writer for a lot of people, who made something like What's My Name and made that shit jamming.
No.
I want to know.
He might be. Hold on here. I hate to say this, get into the technical aspect of.
We always get into the technicals when it's Marshall.
No. Listen to what I'm about to say, because I'm about to give you some context. Is Eminem a better rapper than Snoop in terms of his bar style? Yes. Listen to what I'm about to say. Much like David Ruffin is a better singer than Michael Jackson. David Ruffin didn't make Off the Wall and Thriller, now did he? Just like Eminem is technically a better bar MC than Snoop. But who made the Chronic and Doggy Style? You see where I'm going, Mike? Just because he's technically better. No, just because he's technically better at it doesn't make him better at it live. Like David Ruffin can sing Michael Jackson under the table. You think David Ruffin was ever going to make something like Off the Wall or Thriller? Hell no.
Let's keep it in the crew, and I love
long enough to right.
Let's keep it in the crew, and I love Corrupt. Corrupt probably could out rap Snoop, but is he a better MC than Snoop? No.
Right, and so Corrupt used to lose some of those battles, and he'll tell you and why. He's like Snoop style.
Y'all must think that Eminem's a better MC than Slick Rick too, huh? Y'all must really think that. We talking this stuff. Like, where do y'all think Eminem is? Y'all must think Eminem's a better MC than Slick Rick too, huh? Man, please. Brian says Snoop ain't wrote a rhyme in decades. Really? I don't know, man.
No, he's right. He probably hasn't written a rhyme in decades. He freestyles most of the stuff. Even this last album, you can tell he's going off the top of the dome.
He's just that skilled, man.
That skilled.
And honestly, you know, we want to talk about ain't written a rhyme in decades. Eminem shouldn't have written those rhymes he's put out in the past decade. Should have kept them in the notepad.
Terrible.
Shit is whack.
Terrible.
Eminem hadn't had a banging album since 2002. Let's just keep it a buck, people. We do not want. I get it, man. We've been such fans of people for so long that we don't want to admit the truth. But let's keep it real. Eminem hasn't had a dope album since 2002. 20 years.
So to that point, Mike, we had to talk about all of these guys today, obviously, because the Super Bowl halftime show just occurred, and he obviously was a part of it. But until we get some new music for Eminem, I want to table the Eminem talk right now. Because what's happened is that too many people are thinking that we're using him now about like igniting our viewership, and we don't need to do that. But we can talk about his music when it drops, you know, but also too, it's like, and like I said, Mike, we get on this podcast and 9 times out of 10, we only review a product if the product is good and we can big up the artist, unless the artist's stature is just too large to ignore. So we about to give it a rest, but we also about to rate him.
Well, this is what I want to say before we give it a rest. You remember when he collaborated with Beyonce for Walk on Water? Can we not say for two superstar, for two superstar forces coming together, is that the biggest flop single ever?
Mike, I don't know what year it happened. I forgot it occurred to you said something.
Of course. They want you to forget. Beyonce and Eminem actually have a song together at the height of their popularity, and it was a dud. Let's just keep it real. Those type of things ain't happened to Snoop. Snoop can still give you bangers. It is what it is. And Snoop can have some fun with this shit. Let's not sit here and act like Walk on Water didn't happen.
Because here's what I also want to do. And a lot of it does have to do with the Eminem conversation we've continuously had. No, it's time for us to chart out that list and give out some actual,
Xavier Logistics says Eminem had a lyric book stolen back in the day. That understandably hurt his soul.
Yeah, no, he lost a whole book of rhymes on an airplane. I remember. Mm-hmm.
Okay, man.
I mean, Mike, Mike, you know this. How many books of rhymes have you lost, Mike? I lost the first 6 albums I ever wrote when I moved down here when I was 19. I lost 6 albums worth of material. That's why I'm saying that happens.
I don't know. I mean, I've also heard he doesn't write his stuff down.
There's like 3 albums worth of material sitting right there. That's why I'm saying it happens. You a writer or not, though. So it's like, I get it. It might have hurt his soul, but the soul of a writer is to kind of keep writing. That's why it's like
You don't remember what you wrote? I don't know, man.
Actually, you want to know what? And that's what another part of it too is like the dope stuff from that stuff that I lost. It's like I remembered pieces of those rhymes, and that became part of me and my cousin's first project together when he moved down here. I remembered a lot of the dope stuff and took pieces of it. It happens. You know what I'm saying? You're a writer. If you're a real writer, you're going to lose stuff.
It's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? And like, you know, I remember even on a production level, you know what I'm saying? There'd be certain beats we'd lose the file to. We get a corrupted file and all that stuff. It happens.
Yeah, or
just pick it back up.
Won't bounce over to the MIDI, right? And you like,
Bag of Jones says that sounds like Nas wrote Snoop's verse on their song. I didn't get that, but hey.
No. I know that people calling Nas for hooks now. He's in quite his own. Snoop's calling Nas for hooks. It's supposed to be the other way around.
Listen, man, I want to make sure I got everything from my notes, because here are my notes before we get up out of here. Yeah. The sound. This was clearly about Dre. Snoop was the one that was ready for the big lights. I think some people really didn't show up in the big lights. Listen, I got love for 50, and I know everybody's talking about, you know, him hanging upside down or whatever. But he didn't look like he was ready to perform. And I'm not talking about his conditioning or whatever, but it's like he's never been a dynamic performer like that anyway. But even with that being said, it was like, very stiff. That's kind of his thing. But yeah, it wasn't. Snoop was on another level when it comes to the rest of the performance. My other note was it was well put together, which is a good note. But with some of the rawness of some of those records, it kind of took away from that because it was so polished. Kind of like what we were talking about with the Wu-Tang Triumph being such a polished product. This polished, well choreographed halftime show for me just doesn't mix well with some of the grittiness of not only hip hop but just those guys in their catalog.
Well, here's what we have to understand about what Dr. Dre already did masterfully. He already took this gangsta shit and cleaned it up and made it sound about as clean as it needed to sound. It didn't need to go any further. It didn't need to be dressed up or cleaned up anymore.
It didn't need all those cheerleaders out there.
You lose something when you do that. And so I'm going to keep on saying this back to that deep cover murder was the case type of vibe. That's the vibe they should have been coming out on because that's what I'm saying. Dre already cleaned all this stuff up and got it to the masses. It was already clean to the point of 4 million records worth of album sales with The Chronic and 5 million for Doggy Style. It's 9 million record sales in about 18 months. We had never seen anything like it before or since.
My other note was the fact that I would have preferred What's My Name from Snoop Dogg performed over In the Club. And that's not because of the song In the Club. I get it. In the Club is a cult classic, whatever. But I mean, not a cult classic. It's just a crossover mega song. But I just think that 50 wasn't really ready to perform, and I think that was probably a last minute decision too, because I feel like they would have put 50 on the bill. Like,
I mean, even with that. So, Mike, I don't have a problem with In the Club. It's like, why can't we have both? Why can't I have my In the Club and my What's My Name?
Because he wasn't on the bill. That's why I said that.
Okay, no. Okay, I mean, no, I get what you're saying, but I'm just saying, like in this world where it's like we want what we want. Well, I would want to hear both of those records. Like when 50 came out, I was like, oh, they bought Fifth out, and he's upside down. I was like, oh no, I'm like, that's cool, that's dope. I was like, I'm gonna take that. Okay.
Brian Withers says, Snoop ever out-rapped another great MC on wax? A good question. That's what I'm saying. Snoop's different, man. Like you said, it's kind of like some Tom Brady stuff where it's like, does he have the strongest arm? No. You know what I'm saying? Like, is he the most mobile? No. But it's just something there, man. And the product, when he controls the environment, man, shit is different when he's not involved.
You want to know what it is? And this goes to what you say about his collaborations. I don't think he's ever outshined anybody per se on a track the way that you're talking.
But he makes the track.
But you're going to be hard pressed to find an artist as great as him that other great artists from different spectrums and different viewpoints blend with so well. He's a blending artist. He's not he doesn't do what Jay tries to do on verses like on The Watcher 2. Like, you're never going to get that out of Snoop. Snoop wants the record to flow. So it's like he doesn't have a problem letting Pac shine.
It's not about being out rapping the next person. And honestly, I like his parts on America's Most more than I like Pac's. Now that you mentioned that song.
No, Mike. Not when he going, Mike.
I do.
So
I got a pit named Piggle, she nigga Arena. I got a house on the hill right next to Sheena. Anna. I think I got a black beamer. My dream is to own a fly casino like Bugsy Siegel and do it all legal and get scooped up by the little homie in the Regal. Come on, man.
No, Mike, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. Because Tupac's a writer, and the writer in him came out on that record because he starts off using alliteration to bring his style out. Picture perfect. I paint a perfect picture. Bomb my hoochies with precision. My intentions to get with her. Right.
Yeah, but
Alone is better than everything that Snoop spit on that song.
I keep my hand on my gun because they got me on the run, and now I'm waiting in the courtroom, waiting on the outcome. Free Tupac is also on the niggas' mind, and at the same time, see, they trying to take mine. Come on now. I don't know, man. I think they both did great on the record.
No, they did great, Mike, but no, Mike.
Like, Snoop has memorable parts, and you're right. Pac is a writer. And you could tell Pac was taking it there as a writer, but Snoop was taking it there and like, these are the memorable parts. It's like Blood, Gang Bang.
Motherfuck the rest, two of the best from the West Side, and I can make you famous. Niggas been dying for years, so how can they blame us? I live in fear of a felony.
I never saw Bellinese.
Motherfucking G's. If you got it, better flaunt it. Another warrant. two of America's Most Wanted. It's Pac, Mike. He's got the whole vibe and the feel of that song. Snoop had to go back and do his shit over.
I think they really blended very well.
And no, it's beautiful, Mike. It's one of my favorite, like as far as like rap duo songs. Oh, like Mike, I got that up there with like Life's a Bitch and Brooklyn's Finest. Like it's one of those. Yeah.
And like you said, Snoop's not out here trying to out rap anybody. He's flowing with the song. You remember when he got on that Mariah Carey song, Say Something? He just flowed with that. Who else could do that?
No, he'll let Corrupt get shine. Like everybody can get some shine with Snoop because Snoop knows that he's a star and you're still showing up to see Snoop. He's a big part of the record. And so when you're that level of a star, well, how about this?
Well, now you want to mention that. I think he out-rapped everybody on Doggy Style. I think on Serial Killer, he out-rapped everybody. I think on If It Ain't No Fun, he out-rapped everybody. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not going to argue with you if you say that, but him as an artist, like as an MC, like he just brings so many things to the table that don't have to do with the lyrical part of MC. And that's what I mean. He's our first like real big superstar. And he knows that. And that's kind of what he brings too. It's like even on a track with Pac, it's like Snoop's kind of like, oh shit, Pac got Snoop on a track with him. That was the thing. Yeah. It was like, oh, Pac and Snoop getting on the record together.
They got busy,
like, Pac really with Death Row. Like that was one of the reasons you wanted Pac with Death Row was to get a record with Snoop. You know?
But when you talk about that, and I know we're sitting here talking about, you know, him and Pac, like look at the versatility of somebody like a Snoop. And ask yourself, has Snoop ever sounded bad on a record? You know what I'm saying? Like he's worked with any and everybody on every level and he fits.
C Murder and Mystical, Mike, sound good with them too.
Yeah, he went out there and made 2 No Limit albums, y'all. Come on now. Could
Mike,
K-Dot do that?
There's some joints on there, Mike.
Well, he made 3 No Limit albums, but 2 of them was like deep in the No Limit run.
Right.
And those, like you said, there's some joints on there.
Down for My is one of the top 5 songs that come out of the No Limit camp ever. That's Snoop record.
I think that song has more legs than any No Limit record that ever came out. It outlasted all of them.
You want to know why?
Yeah.
Because who closes out the record?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, one of my other notes was the fact that it kind of gave me vibes, talking about the Super Bowl halftime, it gave me vibes of that Compton album, production-wise.
Nah,
where it was kind of like overproduced, like, you know what I'm saying?
They're all
like it's very theatrical in almost like a Empire type of way, the TV show Empire.
It's all overproduced, Mike. That's what I mean about the show. Yeah. The show itself just inherently overproduced. Yeah.
Like I said, it wasn't smart for Mary to go with the up-tempo choreographed track and then go to a ballad because she was winded after that. That was part of my notes.
Right.
I put Kendrick Lamar's performance was corny and needed to be explained.
Right.
I like this note. I didn't. We talked about this. We didn't, but. Eminem's pandering with the kneeling and the gold rope and stuff.
We talked about that. Yeah. We talked about the kneeling. Yes, we did.
And there was a piano roll where Dre's fingers weren't on the piano and all that stuff. Choreographed sea walking. Oh, and this is the other part. Did you hear like on Still DRE when there was like some skipping going on? What was that?
I felt like something skipped right quick.
It happened twice. What was that about?
Mike, soundstage and lighting again. That's what I'm saying. It's like not all of that is on the performers. It's like when performances go awry on stage, unless you're seeing the performer fall, it's usually not the performer.
All right, before we get out of here, because I know we're almost 2.5 hours in. What did you think about, the reports that Game wasn't too happy about not being involved in this show?
I hadn't heard wind of that.
Yeah, he posted some things on his Instagram story or whatnot that was like, basically he should be up there.
No, I mean, he's been slighted a bunch, and so, this is another slight, because, I mean, he definitely probably is feeling some type of way about having a guy from Queens coming out to perform with his idols. Right. He's a kid from Compton who grew up listening to Dre and Snoop, who wanted to be there more than him, probably? Nobody.
He held the West Coast down, too, man.
he held them down actually at their weakest point. That's what I think I'm going to remember him for and why I hold them so high. He didn't just hold them down when they were strong. He held them down at a weak point. This is after Ice Cube's prime. This is after Snoop's prime. Pac is gone.
I think his back and forth with Jay-Z has probably had something to do with that, maybe, but I don't know. I think that the game, and I get why Kendrick Lamar was there, because Kendrick was there for the All Right song, right? Like I truly believe if Kendrick didn't have All Right in his arsenal, he might not even been on that stage.
I think you're right, actually, Mike. I think they don't ask him to perform if that song's not in his catalog.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I think he deserves to be up there more than Kendrick, and I know I'm probably going to get murdered for this, but I think the game deserves to be on that stage more than Kendrick did.
He embodies West Coast music more. Of course he does.
And I don't know, man. Maybe he's too threatening. I mean, we talked about that earlier where it was like, why were all of these acts needed in the first place? But maybe it's because Snoop and Dre would just be too threatening. But again, that takes me back to the beginning. It's like, okay, if that's the mentality and the notion, why would we even celebrate this as a victory? Is it really a victory for hip hop?
Right, it's not. That's why I keep saying it's not threatening. Mike, they already cleaned it up as much as it needs to be cleaned up. If you're not accepting it on that level, we shouldn't want it. We shouldn't want it if it got to be cleaned up more than Dre already cleaned it up. That's part of what was so funky about it. It's like, man, he making this gangster shit sound really clean for the masses, ain't he? And still talking that talk. It's like, okay, Dre, okay, Snoop. So there needed not be nothing else done but to let Dre and Snoop be Dre and Snoop. That's what I'm saying. Let Dre and Snoop be Dre and Snoop. It's LA. It's a Super Bowl. We didn't need the Mike, you could have gave me Dre and Snoop in a 6'4" as a prop. We would have been fine.
Yeah. No, straight up. I mean, they got the catalog for it. And again,
be funky about it. Bring the whole crew out in the 6'4" for everybody performing. Everybody sitting in the car on Lolo till it's their time to perform, and everybody get out the whip or something. Like you can play with it.
Right. It makes you feel like, certain people couldn't even get on the damn field. Like I said, Corrupt couldn't get a mic for his part in next episode. Mm-hmm. Exhibit couldn't get in the Lolo or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Exhibit's in the club mention. You know what I mean? I guess those people couldn't even get on the field.
Yeah. No, there'll be none of that.
Super corporate. I mean, and I know I get it. Ice Cube, but I know some people were saying they wish Ice Cube could have came out, but I mean, I get that. Ice Cube's really not part of that movement per se.
Right. He's gonna perform though.
Yeah.
They fit in with him because Ice Cube's kind of always been his own man and his own thing. He doesn't fit into that.
Yeah, straight up.
No, he doesn't. He hasn't fit into any sort of group teamwork format since Straight Outta Compton, and that's been intentional.
Yeah, I mean, look, to go back to the beginning, I think that it really should have just been, Dr. Dre and Snoop, Peace to Mary and all that. But this was a hip hop show.
Yeah.
And I do think that, Mary has so much music over her 30-year career, illustrious career. She shouldn't be minimized to a song and a half. And the fact that, again, Snoop only basically did his verse on the next episode and was asked to move to the side, that was unacceptable.
I don't have a problem with Mary being minimized to a song and a half during a Super Bowl show. It's the song selection that I'm going to lay claim with and issue with. Like, because we knew Family Affair was happening because she's lined up with Dre. Give us something that's unique unto Mary. Mary's not here to prop some rapper up. I mean, just truthfully, culturally speaking, Mary has probably impacted people in this culture with her music more than all of the people that she was on stage with last night. And so there should have been an opportunity to let Mary be Mary. I mean, to be honest with you, I was almost certain we were going to get the Benny and the Jets deep inside if we were going to get another Mary song.
Oh, that would have been good.
Perfect.
That would have been good.
That's perfect for live, and that's perfect for the audience. That's Benny and the Jets by Elton John.
Piano. We had a piano right there.
Tell me it doesn't play right in.
I think that would have been great. All right, well, let me get to Ray Rim's super chat before we get out of here. He said, are you brothers going to set an established broadcast schedule? I never know when you're going live to the day of. This is high-level content. Appreciate that. Appreciate the love. Yeah, we go live on Wednesdays and Fridays. Let's say 4 o'clock.
I mean, a lot of that is about my schedule and my day job. But Wednesdays and Fridays, you can expect to be seeing us pull up probably no earlier than 3, but no later than 6. So that
Definitely.
all depends on how the day goes. So you can be just kind of checking the feed between 3 to 5 on Wednesdays and Fridays, and we probably gonna be popping in somewhere in between them. We're trying to do better about getting the base time down. A lot of that is my schedule and the different things that I do, but we trying to land in that 4:30 time comfortably Wednesday and Friday for all of y'all.
All right. Well, y'all make sure y'all subscribe to According to Hip Hop on YouTube. I know we could go on and on. Um, Make sure you hit the bell icon so you can know when we're going live. And yeah, man, we're gonna holler at y'all Friday, man. I don't know if it's no new music, but huh?
We got music? Any music?
I don't know. Let me see. Let me check real quick before we get out of here. And anybody in the chat know any new music that's coming? Let us know. I mean, it is February. I'm hearing there's gonna be something in February, right?
Oh, hold on. What's today's date? What's today's? Oh, no. That's next week.
Nah, it's the 16th. Let's see. Yeah, I forgot I was on airplane mode before we get up out of here.
Conway is not this Friday, but next Friday is Conway.
Is it?
Exactly. That's 225. That's next Friday. Not this Friday, but next Friday is 225. That's God don't make mistakes. Yeah, because it's the 16th. Wednesday the 16th. God don't make mistakes is the 25th.
Yeah, I don't see anything. Oh, yeah. You know what? Yes, we got to talk about this Kanye West documentary. It's on Netflix.
Now?
No, Friday.
No, I mean, I don't mean now. I mean, he has a documentary out on Netflix right now.
Yeah, that's probably why he's wilding out so much on social media, you know.
About what? About what? What's the documentary about?
It's about him. It has like old footage from college dropout era. I saw a clip where he was in the office. I think it was either the record label or radio station or whatever. And he was rapping All Falls Down. And people treated it like he didn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? And they had somebody knock on the door. It's like, okay, yeah, your time's up or whatever.
Did he put it together?
I think he did put it together with like lost footage and stuff like that. People are saying it's great.
Okay, I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, let's watch it. Let's talk about it, and then we'll talk about the new music that comes out. So,
you know what I want to be great?
What's
the
that?
Engineering on Donda 2. That's what I want to be great.
Oh, that's coming out.
Engineering on Donda 2 needs to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what needs to be great. It's cool documentary. It's great. I'm gonna check it out. I might check it out tonight.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna check it out tonight too.
Yeah. How long is it? It ain't like one of them three.
I don't even know.
Because it's yay. You know?
I don't even know. It's in pieces, but it's classic footage, and you know, I think that Kanye's story is so unique, especially unique to hip hop, and I think it's worth a conversation, man. I mean, I know he's whatever now, but when you think about how he came in the game, it's very, very unique, and it's amazing that he happened to be the first guy to really make a mainstream crossover artist not have to have any type of street credibility in that era. You know what I mean?
You want to know what he is, Mike? He's actually like, he's like the first regular special rapper.
Exactly.
He's the first rapper who's regular that's special.
To the point where he used his first name and last name. Ain't no rap name with me.
No, this is what I mean. Is that, like, Mike, when the College Dropout came out, I went to 2 years of college. I dropped out. Mike, everybody that knew me wore polo rugbies all the time. The relatability was instant for me. I was like, yeah, I can relate.
Dude, even when I saw that clip of him in the radio station rapping to these people who could care less of what he was saying, I related to that.
Right.
I lived that.
Like, when I heard All Falls Down, it's like, no, I am that guy. I know
live that
girl. That's my home girl.
Yeah.
That's my home girl. I know her. Yeah, like, so.
I mean, shoot, y'all heard the music I've posted on our YouTube channel.
Right.
I get that. You know what I'm saying? And
Spaceship, where he's talking about, if my manager insults me again, I will be assaulting him.
Who was talking like that?
Talking like that. That was like
rappers were always.
I remember being on the back dock of Dave and Buster's being like,
right. Yeah. He was talking about real life and real relatability, and the fact that. And I think the only reason why he was able to do that is because he was such a talented producer and was able to sneak in the game. He didn't have to go out there and prove himself as a rapper where people could say, oh, no, that's not going to work. By the time he got to position, it was all on the fans then. He was like, I'm gonna do what I do.
Right, but no, Mike, he came in doing what he did. She got a dark skin friend look like Michael Jackson got a light skin.
K. Davis says, and this is true, it says Tupac used his first and last name, but he did and didn't. He put the number 2 and he put Pac. So it was a rap name infused with his real name, sort of like Eminem in that way too. But this man used his government first and last.
Right. We call him Tupac Shakur because we feel so close and acquainted to him. His rap name is Tupac with 2. T-A-P. Right. Mm-hmm. All
right, man. We're going to check this out, man. And I'm going to talk to y'all. I'm going to talk to you on Friday. And
yes, sir.
Great show.
All the time.